Chapter 57:37. Chapter 57:37. Time passed quietly in the midst of comprehension. With the passage of time, an inexplicable aura appeared on Long Fei's body, and this aura was called Jie. At this moment, Long Fei's body was covered with the power of calamity. It was as if his body had turned into a cause of calamity. Looking at the opposite side again, Jie Yin, who was in front of Long Fei before, had disappeared without a trace. But the scene in the field is extremely strange. Under the long river that appeared out of thin air, the reflection of the diamond-shaped crystal robbery still exists, and it seems to have turned into a giant beast, exuding an aura of destruction, sweeping towards Long Fei under the long river crazily. Puff! The water surface fluctuated, and Long Fei's figure disappeared in an instant. But soon, his figure reappeared. At this moment, he died again. But Long Fei, who came back, suddenly opened his eyes. The cause of the catastrophe, the fruit of the catastrophe, Long Fei murmured. He has figured it out. He looked at the surface of the water in front of him, lost in thought. If you think of this water surface as a one, the intersection of the beginning and the end of all things in the world, then where I am at this time is the cause, and the reflected power is the effect. If there is a cause of calamity, there must be an effect of calamity. And my death in that instant just now was because I comprehended the cause of robbery, which caused the counterkill of robbery fruit. Long Fei thought in his heart. His comprehension is getting deeper and deeper. He knew that from the moment he came here, Jie Yin's power was no longer a threat to him. However, he ignored Jegua. It can be said that the power of the cause of the robbery has been swallowed by me, but it is not complete. The only way to inspire me is to swallow the power of the fruit of the robbery. That is to say, I have to break the relative unity of cause and effect and end the catastrophe, so as to understand the source of this catastrophe. However, I can't do this with the power of my body. Only he can do it. Long Fei's eyes glowed. At this moment, he realized. In an instant, he slowly got up. His gaze also slowly retracted. He looked under the surface of the water, and there was a power that belonged to him still crossed his legs, as if he was comprehending the fruit of robbery, and remained silent. And that's what he said about him. This is me, but not just me. This is the body of the fruit of the robbery derived from swallowing the robbery. It seems that we can only continue to wait. But with this eternal space, it doesn't affect me much. Long Fei thought in his heart. The next moment, he felt his own strength. Compared with when I first entered this world, I have improved a lot. Although there was no change in realm, Long Fei could be sure that his fighting strength had increased dramatically. Not only that, but one more thing is that my current body is full of the power of the cause of robbery. This kind of power is inexplicable, but it has the power to kill others in an instant. Just like I walked all the way before, experiencing life and death repeatedly. This power is terrifying. It is integrated into the power under my control. As long as the strength is lower than mine, it can be instantly killed. Moreover, people who die under my power, even if they are unique, cannot be reorganized and resurrected. Long Fei Xin thought of. This is also the big gain of this trip. Thinking of this, Long Fei's eyes couldn't help flickering. I don't know if the current Long Batian can be killed by my punch. I'm looking forward to it now. Saying that, Long Fei got up directly, turned and left. There is no need to wait any longer. Although within this eternal space, time will not change. However, he could no longer participate in the next enlightenment. Only the body of the fruit of the robbery derived from oneself can make the robbery under the cause of the robbery. Only by enlightening and devouring can we have a more comprehensive understanding of the robbery. Instead of waiting, it's better to bloom in multiple lines. Anyway, once the body of the robbery fruit is successfully enlightened, it will reintegrate into your body, and you don't need to care about it. In a flash, Long Fei's figure appeared directly outside the land of chaos. And as soon as he appeared, he saw two figures constantly being resurrected and reborn at the beginning of the land of chaos. Yes, that's it, sister, don't worry, with me here, even if you were killed 10,000 times, I can bring you back. A voice appeared. Brother, are you sick? This kind of self-seeking can really improve your strength. A woman's voice appeared. These two people are Tianqi and Tianxin. Of course, brother, will I still lie to you? Let me tell you, along the way, brother, I have died countless times, and then my strength has increased to the point where I am now. I have to say that this is extremely dangerous, but you brother, I got over it. Apocalypse said solemnly. Brother is amazing. Tianxin said. That's natural. At the beginning, I walked all the way by myself. I went to the depths of the chaos, but the things inside are very important to master, so I didn't go deeper. Tianqi said leisurely, with no expression on his dark face. Long Fei. Is this still the apocalypse I know? It really doesn't cost much to brag, just open your mouth. Ahem, are you very powerful? You came back from resurrection? By the way, did you go to the depths, or did you not continue because I cared about that power? Long Fei's figure appeared in front of the two of them, sizing him up playfully. Go on road. Under Long Fei's gaze, Tianqi panicked instantly. Then, he looked at Long Fei almost beggingly, as if he was saying, please stop talking. Long Fei smiled knowingly. To save face, sometimes I still have to give a little. Tianxin also smiled, with a faint smile on his face. In fact, she didn't need Long Fei to speak, she knew how miserable Tianqi was before, and sometimes it was just to cooperate with her brother. But she won't poke it out, she likes to see her brother deliberately show that she is very brave. Let's not talk nonsense, I'm going to the god and demon Shidi, are you interested in going to see it? Long Fei asked. Now that the world has begun to change, don't think too much about it, it must have already begun, but it has just taken shape now, and it won't change too much if he makes a move. Now is not the time for him to enter the arena. Therefore, in Long Fei's plan, it is to first settle the gods and demons, and when they find out more, then free up their hands, go directly to the robbery, and have a good time with them. I won't go. Tianqi directly refused. He's scared. The ordeal he suffered in this chaos is unforgettable to this day, he dare not continue to follow Long Fei out, otherwise it will definitely be extremely miserable when the time comes. But, he was still too naive. Reject me? What do you use to reject me? If it is useful to refuse, what do you need strength for? Let's go, Pikachu. A devilish smile flashed across Long Fei's face, and then he lifted up Tianqi, and his figure disappeared into the world. Since Tianxin was left, she said softly, my brother is so miserable. But, he deserves it. Shut up if you can't talk. Chapter 5738. Chapter 5738. Although Tianxin felt sorry for Tianqi's experience, she could only pray silently. But after Long Fei and Tianqi disappeared, she didn't leave, but chose to go deeper into the land of chaos. She seems to be repeating the process of life and death, and she is relying on herself throughout the whole process, which is stronger than the original Tianqi. But soon, her figure returned. There is no such power in the depths, and it should have been solved by Master. She walked to the depths, but she no longer had the power to kill people in an instant, so she naturally can't continue to improve, can only return. Moreover, her guess is not bad, the disappearance of the power is naturally because it has been swallowed by Long Fei. The beginning of gods and demons. This place seems to be the same as the depths of the chaos. Just after arriving, I felt a terrifying power of calamity. Although it is different from the cause of catastrophe in Land of Chaos, it is certain that this is also a cause of catastrophe. Tianqi's face was also extremely serious at this time. Master, can you say something? Tianqi raised his head and asked. No. Long Fei directly refused. As soon as Tianqi spoke, Long Fei already guessed what he wanted to say, and didn't give him a chance to speak at all. Apocalypse has a black line. Master, please, be human, I know I was wrong. Tianqi begged. He didn't know how many times he had died in the Land of Chaos before, and he never wanted to experience the feeling between life and death. But as soon as I got here, a familiar smell hit my face. He knew that if he didn't take the initiative to speak, what awaited him would be a tragedy repeating itself, continuing to live and die. No, you are right. You are someone who dares to hit the face of the sea. You are the hero in my heart. As a hero, how can I not have the strength to match? This is to train you as a teacher, don't worry. Long Fly said in a low voice. Although it was a joke, Long Fei did see Tianqi's potential. If Shenmue Shidi is operated properly this time, his cultivation base may be improved again, and he may directly reach the peak of the 9th layer of Apocalypse. Afterwards, after going through the catastrophe of the conferred God world, she might be able to break the rules and become the only one. This was also the plan in Long Fei's mind. In his plan, it was never for Qingying to break through alone. Apocalypse is also in his plan. Tianqi wants to cry but has no tears. He knows that resistance is meaningless. Since he couldn't resist, all he could do was lie flat and accept the result calmly. Go in, you. Long Fei didn't waste any time, he shot directly and kicked Tianqi in. And he, standing above the void, looked at the apocalypse. Soon, countless shadows of gods and demons flew out of the field, and they were wrapped in a monstrous killing intent, extremely ferocious. Moreover, their aura strength is infinitely approaching the peak of the 9 layers of Apocalypse. Seeing this scene, even Long Fei felt his scalp go numb. It's too scary, it's just the beginning, it's so brutal. If it gets to the depths, what kind of picture will it be like? We all know that starting is always easiest. So the shadows of gods and demons that appear now are the most delicious, and the truly terrifying ones are yet to come. But it just so happens that although these shadows of gods and demons are stronger than Tianqi, they are not too outrageous, and they all died in the calamity, so they can be used as sharpening stones for Tianqi. Boy, be careful. This place is different from the land of chaos. If you die, you are really dead. Long Fei said. When Tianqi, who was about to fight to the death, heard the voice, his expression changed instantly, and he ran away without looking back. Long Fei looked at it coldly. Want to run, is it possible? With a casual movement, Long Fei directly sealed the ***** and Demon Shidi. Let's kill, today there is no one between you and them. Long Fei said with a smile. The fierceness in Tianqi's eyes was gradually released, and the spear in his hand suddenly appeared. Long gun, Apocalypse. This is his divine weapon, and it has not been used for a long time, but this time he is not going to hide it. The moment Tianqi got his hands on the spear, Tianqi seemed to have turned into a world-destroying maniac, with an extremely ferocious aura, and directly rushed into the group of gods and demons. Fuck. Is there still such an operation? Long Fei exclaimed. Forget. He is also a system owner. Although that system has now retired, it is a serious system of destroying the world. Now Apocalypse seems to have regained this power, and the Apocalypse Spear is his weapon of destruction. At this moment, he has no power to stop him. I'm careless. With the Apocalypse Spear in hand, this kid's strength has basically reached the limit of the Apocalypse 9 layers. These gods and demons have no effect on him. Long Fei thought in his heart. In an instant, Long Fei's eyes turned bright, and he stretched out his hand to explore. Boom boom boom. Countless shadows of gods and demons dissipated crazily at this moment. Under Long Fei's power, they were as vulnerable as chickens and dogs. And after a moment, the field was cleared directly, leaving Tianqi alone. Don't waste time, keep going. Long Fei ignored Tianqi and said directly. Tianqi's eyes were red, and the meaning of destroying the world flickered in his eyes. But at this time, he still maintained his sanity and did not disobey Long Fei's words. In an instant, his figure appeared thousands of feet away. And here, there are ghostly shadows flickering. Long Fei's figure also followed. Everything, as he guessed, the power of the gods and demons here is obviously higher than before by more than one level. Their aura has reached its limit. The limit of the realm of Apocalypse. In contrast, Tianqi's cultivation base is a little bit behind. Even with the Tianqi gun in his hand, he can't hold it. Surer. At this moment, Tianqi suddenly let out a loud shout. The next moment, a ball of blood burst out from his body, and under his power, the blood instantly turned into 360 million blood droplets. As soon as the blood dripped, he immediately transformed into Shura. The endless Shura instantly occupied the battlefield. Moreover, each Shura's body contains extremely powerful power. Even if it is not as powerful as the main body of Tianqi, the gap is not very big, and they all have the strength close to the 8 layers of Tianqi. Although such power is still cannon fodder for the group of gods and demons in front of them. But they are inexhaustible, immortal, even after collapse, they can regroup their bodies and continue fighting. As for Tianqi's body, he seized the opportunity and turned into a world-destroying god of death, with his long spear constantly flashing on the battlefield. Every time his figure disappears, every time he appears, he will inevitably take the life of a ***** and demon. Long Fei didn't stop him either, he just watched quietly, until the gods and demons in front of him dissipated. Tianqi fell down with a tired face. And those 360 million Shura incarnations also disappeared and returned to his body. Although you are suspected of cheating, it is your method after all. But I still have to remind you that this kind of power is basically useless to the existence below. I can tell you what existence you will face next. They are Zulong, Yuan Feng, and Shikalin. Of course, there are also 3,000 chaotic gods and demons. Long Fei said softly. Chapter 5739. Chapter 5739. Although Long Fei never made a move, he was not idle. Although this land of gods and demons is weird, he has already devoured the cause of the catastrophe. Coupled with his own strength, he has already achieved superciliousness. In other words, since he first came to this world, he already knew what kind of power he was facing in the depths of this land of gods and demons. The apocalypse is now in the second stage, and the real terror is in the third stage. That is, those existences he is talking about at the moment. Tianqi got up slowly. Master, let me take it easy. Apocalypse said. He also seemed to be out of strength at this time. But Long Fei shook his head lightly. You have reached the critical point now, your cultivation base has been imperceptibly raised to the late stage of the 9th layer of Apocalypse. Although I don't guarantee that you will be able to make your cultivation base unique, but only become Apocalypse Kunu's limit is the only way to achieve that step. You also know that the Apocalypse is about to come. If you can break through the unique realm, then there will be a glimmer of life, and Tianqian will also have a glimmer of life. You used to be the owner of the system, so I don't hide it from you. My system task this time is to make your teacher the only one. And you, I just give you a chance. I'll give you a chance, don't be useless. Long Fei said softly, with every word. At this time, every word he said was like a knife piercing Tianqi's heart. Especially when Tianqi heard the word Tianqi Jie, his eyes were even more radiant in an instant. He came following the sea, so he already knew what kind of existence the Apocalypse Tribulation was. Of course, he also knows that only by breaking through to the unique realm can he have a chance in front of the Apocalypse Tribulation. Originally, he thought that Long Fei was just trying to temper him, but now that he heard that Long Fei was actually trying to make him break through to the unique state, his heart suddenly surged. I'll go. Without any hesitation, Tianqi braced his body and stood up. His obsession is very strong, countless times stronger than before. Maybe it doesn't attract him to become stronger, but if he breaks through to be the only one, in order to bring his sister to survive the apocalypse, it is definitely a fatal temptation for him. It was good luck that Long Fei could give him such a chance at this moment. If he didn't even have the intention to fight to the death, then he would be so sorry to Long Fei. In an instant, he directly killed the past. Long Fei nodded with satisfaction. His people are not cowards. Not then, not now, and not in the future. Brothers, wait for me. In the future, I will lead you to fight against the apocalypse. Long Fei's eyes moved a little, and he thought of the 8 King Kong. The person who was once crucial in life has now become the 8 pillars of heaven, supporting one side of the world. But Long Fei is confident that as long as he is strong enough, he will be able to reverse everything and bring them back in the future. With a sigh, Long Fei suppressed the thoughts in his heart, moved his footsteps, and caught up with Tianqi. He is already extremely satisfied with Tianqi's determination to defy life and death. If he really watches Tianqi go to die, he still can't do it. After all, the existence that Tianqi has to face is the limit of Tianqi's realm. Even the sages of the heavenly Tao are incomparable, and even the Tao ancestors who are compatible with the Tao are a little bit afraid. It is rumored that 3,000 gods and demons were conceived in the chaos before the world was opened, But I don't know whether these gods and demons are from Hongjuan's group, or from Pangu's group. Long Fei thought in his heart. There are different opinions on this issue, and it was mentioned in Long Fei's understanding, but it is not always determined, so now Long Fei is not sure in his heart. But no matter which batch it is not something that Tianqi can face now. If you're lucky enough, it's Hongjuan's group, maybe he can still fight. But if it is Pangu's group, then basically there is no need to think about it, he is alone, there is no difference between following up and dying. After all, it is useless to be enthusiastic in many cases. Without absolute strength, no matter how hot the blood is, it will give away the head. Soon, Long Fei's eyes fixed on the 3,000 gods and demons in the depths. Observe their breath fluctuations. Every one of them can influence the world, and the saints of heaven and earth are not opponents. Unless Hongjun personally takes action, it is possible to suppress them. However, suppression is suppression. If you want to kill them easily, you have to be the only one. After analyzing the strength of these people, Long Fei had a guess in his mind. It is no exaggeration to say that these gods and demons are already immortal existences, as well as countless dragon shadows, unicorns, and phoenixes. After all, they are the existences that dominate the world. But at this moment, except for the unique state, it is impossible to kill them by any means. But fortunately, although the strength of Tianqi is weaker than them, it is not crushed, and it still has the power to fight. As for the quantity issue, Long Fei didn't care much. After all, if singled out, it doesn't make any sense to Apocalypse. He cast his eyes into the void, and soon the battle in front of him had already started. Apocalypse was like a lunatic, killing him directly with his finger spear. But it's a pity, how pretentious this will be, how miserable it will be later. Soon, Long Fei's words were confirmed. The gods and demons gathered together, and an incomparably terrifying power erupted, covering the world, smashing it horizontally and submerging the world. And this kind of power is also very targeted, just drowning the figure of Tianqi in an instant. A storm of power suddenly formed in the field, and the aura revealed by this storm was not the only one that could not be approached. Long Fei's eyes froze. Damn it, I can't play too big. Long Fei looked worried. He also didn't expect Tianqi to be so reckless, just do it directly, and don't even care about the strength gap between the two parties, don't be too crazy. With piercing eyes, Long Fei's eyes directly pierced the emptiness, broke through the barrier of the storm, and looked at Tianqi. Very good, it's all right. Long Fei was pleasantly surprised. He was also worried that Tianqi would be instantly killed under this power, but now it seems that he still underestimated Tianqi. But at this moment, a figure suddenly came from the storm. You are indeed a lunatic, ****** it, the life-saving means I left for him are gone. There was helplessness in that voice. Long Fei rolled his eyes and finally understood why Tianqi could survive under this power. This is the sea. It seems that this step I took was also planned by you? Long Fei asked back. It's a fart, I simply understand you, so I prepared a little backup for him. Dahai said. Long Fei was unmoved. Teaching a man how to fish is worse than giving him a fish. Even if you give him 100 backhands, he won't be able to escape the apocalypse. Only by making him the only one is it possible. But having said that, you were not so gentle with me back then. Long Fei said leisurely. Thinking of his growth history along the way, Long Fei wanted to cry but had no tears. Apocalypse still has a backup, and he is purely desperate. Chapter 5740. Chapter 5740. The appearance of the sea was definitely an accident. However, it was precisely because Dahai made an early move that Tianqi was given a chance to survive such an attack. Come on, you don't want to think about it, you should be grateful to me for your kindness. The voice of the sea came from the storm. Long Fei was taken aback. These words are a bit familiar. He seemed to have just described Tianqi, but he didn't expect to be used by Dahai on him in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Long Fei even had doubts in his heart, whether a spy had been planted around him. What he said just now, Dahai actually said the same thing now. Maybe it was the resonance of thinking, but it still made Long Fei feel that it was a coincidence. But Long Fei didn't know, his thoughts at this time became a prophecy, and Long Fei almost died on the spot after knowing the truth. But that's something to say, so I won't say much here. Stop talking nonsense. Since you have arrangements for Tianqi, that means you want Tianqi to also break through to the unique realm? Long Fei asked tentatively. The sea does not support idlers. Whether it is Long Batian or himself, since Dahai has secretly planned, he has his own plan in it, so now that he has come down to bring Tianqi himself, it proves that he also has his own plan for Tianqi. Yes, I have this plan. You should be able to tell from the name. His name is Tianqi, and this time's robbery is called Tianqi Jie. You thought that when I sent you to the Eternal Land, the name appeared randomly, is it? Big Hai said. Long Fei thought for a moment, then asked, so, you made a plan a long time ago? Long Fei looked a little dignified. It's about apocalypse robbery, he can't be relaxed. The stronger it is, the more irresistible it feels. Especially since he devoured the cause of calamity, he has a deep understanding of this power. You must know that the cause of calamity that I devoured is only the cause of the calamity of this world of gods, but the calamity of the apocalypse is the key. In the entire universe of heaven and earth, the dimensions between the two are different, and there is an essential difference. Therefore, even at the level of Long Fei, he is deeply afraid of the apocalypse tribulation. Almost. But making Tianqi the only one is one step. The real way is still in your body, Dahai said. Can you tell me? Long Fei asked. Dahai's plan involves too much, and it is always the overall situation of the ages. If Dahai didn't say anything and he guessed by himself, he might not be able to figure it out even if he racked his brains. It's not the time yet, your system is still there, and there is a system to guide you, so you won't make any mistakes. Your role will become more prominent when your cultivation base improves, or even explores to the next level. So what you think now, no matter how much useless, said the sea. Long Fei nodded lightly. Where is the key point for Tianqi to become the only one? Will it conflict with my system mission? Long Fei asked. The power of Fengshenji was used by him to make Qingying break through the unique realm, so now he is practicing Tianqi with all his might, just to gain more opportunities. But because of the system tasks, Long Fei didn't dare to take any risks and asked the two of them to break through the conferred god tribulation. Don't worry, I have my own arrangements for him in the future. No, I'll take him away now. I don't want to say anything. Although you are crazy about things, the effect is still there. I thought this kid wanted to reach the limit of the apocalypse. Take a while time, unexpectedly in your hands has been achieved so quickly. The voice of the sea said, and the next moment, the storm caused by the gods and demons in the field broke out instantly. Rumble. The entire gods and demons began to tremble violently, and the light of gods and demons covered the sky, as if to repeat the world. Long Fei watched quietly and didn't care. Naturally, this piece of world will not collapse, and it will not have any impact on the world of conferred gods. This world is already a world beyond the original world. Or it could be said to be the predecessor of the current conferred gods world. More vividly, it seems to be a slough. The chaotic world is the first life, and this land of gods and demons is the second time. There is no connection between the world and the original world, and it will not affect the past. When the world returned to calm, the shadows of gods and demons all over the sky had disappeared, leaving only the shadows of Tianqi and Dahai who had passed out. As expected of you. Long Fei sighed with emotion. Don't worry, you can do it with your power. Go on, the power here is useful to you, and I'll wait for you to catch up with me, Dahai said. After speaking, his figure disappeared without a trace in a flash. Long Fei watched quietly. He didn't point it out, but he guessed that the sea was waiting for the moment when the apocalypse reached its limit. Only in this case will his strength be stimulated. It's okay, the sea won't harm him anyway. And with Dahai's attack, the probability of Tianqi's successful breakthrough will be even greater. Long Fei murmured to himself. Immediately, without any pause in his footsteps, he went directly to the deeper depths in an instant. And after this step, he saw a few of them. Zulong, Yuan Feng, Shikalin, and the demon Luohu. However, none of them are living beings. Although they are immortal, Long Fei can still perceive that they have no spiritual consciousness for a long time. In other words, they are just corpses. This is different from the phantom that flashed out before. Those pictures that seem to be imprinted in this world, they once existed, so they took shape. Not so here. They didn't respond. This is death under robbery. Long Fei narrowed his eyes and realized in his heart. Yes, they were all the protagonists of an era. The demon ancestor and Hong Jun seized the Tao, and the Chilean third ancestor Longhand suffered a catastrophe. I just don't know, they will be linked together. Long Fei thought in his heart. Suddenly, Long Fei thought of a key point. To be precise, it is a key person. Hong Jun. If it is possible and capable to bring them together in a catastrophe, then this person can only be Hong Jun. It seems that Hong Jun is not an easy person. He was also in the calamity back then, but he escaped from the calamity. He is in line with the way of heaven. Now he even wants to dominate the catastrophe. Long Fei continued to think. Although he is reckless, it is only because he is fearless. In fact, his thoughts are also very meticulous. After all, the road of eternity has been traveled in this way, so he will naturally associate more. Wanting to understand this point, Long Fei no longer thought about it. It doesn't matter how these people died, his only purpose was only one, and that was the god and demon tribulation cause. In this world, only the gods and demons can move him. Soon, Long Fei's figure continued to penetrate into the past. But this time, it was a round crystal. System, open the eternal space. Without further ado, Long Fei continued to comprehend simply and directly. Soon, the space in front of Long Fei began to change, and soon as it did in the depths of the chaos before, the water surface splitting cause and effect reappeared, and Long Fei was also divided into two. Chapter 5741. Chapter 5741. I don't know how much time passed. When Long Fei opened his eyes again, the circular calamity cause in front of him had disappeared. And the robbery fruit reflected in the reflection was also swallowed by the body of the robbery fruit split by Long Fei. Different from the first time, this time Long Fei and the two were almost in sync. Not only swallowed the cause of the robbery, but also swallowed the result. So that's how it is. Long Fei's eyes were heavy. From the news he had learned at this moment, he already knew the coming of the god and demon tribulation. In the original world of conferred gods, what Long Fei learned was that the three clans were fighting for hegemony, and it was the Tao ancestor and the demon ancestor fighting for the way. But now that he has devoured the complete cause and effect of the catastrophe, Long Fei has come to realize it. It's not like the conferred god world that I'm familiar with. It is the operation of this piece of heaven and earth that does not allow so many strong people to appear. Strong means plunder. To plunder means to kill. And the three clans were like this back then, plundering wildly, killing wildly, and finally led to a catastrophe, and finally the three clans were basically extinct. As for Luo Hu and Hong Jun, the same is true between them. But one chose Ying Mang, and the other chose He Dao, so there were different results. Reading books. If that's the case, then could the coming of the apocalypse tribulation be caused by too many strong men between heaven and earth? Long Fei had the same guess in his heart. But after guessing, Long Fei denied his idea. The world covered by the apocalypse tribulation is different. The world of conferred gods is such a world, whether it is resources or the limit that the world can bear, it is here. But the apocalypse calamity is different. This is the catastrophe of the entire universe, covering countless universes and countless civilizations. So under this dimension, no matter how many strong people there are, they will not be overloaded. Thinking in his heart, Long Fei denied the cause of the catastrophe. It's not enough. It seems that it is impossible to analyze the source of the apocalypse tribulation from one cause of calamity. I need more causes of calamity. Thinking of it, Long Fei felt frenzy in his heart. Shuwu. With grave in an instant, his figure disappeared. The next moment, his figure straddled the void and appeared at the end of the Nether Blood Sea. He thought of Hu Shimei's words back then. In the depths of the chaos, where gods and demons begin, and where the sea of blood ends. Since the first two places have the existence of heaven and earth tribulation, then this third place also has it. At the same time, in the Nether Blood Sea, Qing Ying suddenly sensed Long Fei's aura, rushed directly to the Blood Sea, and followed Long Fei's footsteps to the end of the Nether Blood Sea. "What's wrong?" She came to Long Fei's side and asked softly. "Qingying, I remember you once said that you are replacing Hutu in this world. Then, in the limit of the Blood Sea, have you ever encountered an extremely unbelievable power?" Long Fei asked. Qingying pondered for a while, then nodded for a moment and said, "Yes, I even said that I can break through to the limit of the Apocalypse realm now because of this power www. Net. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Speaking of it this way, the cause of calamity that existed here was swallowed up by Qingying. "What kind of power is that?" Long Fei asked. Qingying pondered on his face. "How should I put it? At a small level, it is the power of reincarnation, and at a high level, it is a power of order. Or, this is the power of order, and this order is called reincarnation." Qingying's shadow said. Long Fei fell into deep thought. But soon, there was relief in his brow. Yes. Qingying's words made Long Fei think of the crux of the problem. That's right, you're right, it's order. All the causes of catastrophe are related to order. Long Fei was ecstatic, regardless of right or wrong, but now Qingying's words undoubtedly point to a direction. At least, this is the case for the causes of calamity that I have devoured now. It was all because of a disorder of order that caused catastrophe. At this moment, while Long Fei was guessing, a light and shadow suddenly appeared from nothingness. With a move in Long Fei's eyes, he waved his hand casually, merging with the light and shadow. Then, Long Fei fell into silence. Qingying didn't bother. She naturally knew that Long Fei's body was related to the great calamity of the world, and the gesture he showed at this moment was clearly guessed. She didn't speak, just watched from the side. Soon, Long Fei opened his eyes. "That's right, what you said is right, and I guessed it right. At least the reason for the existence of this conferred God world is the chaos of order," Long Fei said. "If there was a little doubt before, it is extremely certain now. Because this light and shadow is the fruit of opening the sky. Long Fei didn't devour it before, but now that the comprehension is over, he will naturally return to Long Fei. And this return, the news provided just made Long Fei confirm his guess. Order. This is the cause of robbery." Qingying smiled softly, looked at Long Fei's firm eyes, stretched out her hand to touch with tenderness. Long Fei's body trembled. The action is familiar. But not just the kind of familiarity that once flooded into memory, but a kind of familiarity that is instinctive in the body. For a moment, Long Fei couldn't help but wondered whether the 50 lives he met back then were really related to him. "Forget it, it's useless to be entangled, I just need to know that in this life, she is my woman, and that's enough." Long Fei enjoyed Qingying's caress in his heart. "I believe that any catastrophe in front of you will eventually be flattened by you," Qingying said in a low voice. "Don't worry, even if it's for you, I will never let the apocalypse tribulation really come down," Long Fei said firmly. Then, silently added the word "men" in my heart. After all, as the number one affectionate person in the heavens, how could he do things that are more generous than others? After a while, the two returned to the Nether Blood Sea. "Master, is my brother still alive?" Tianxin couldn't help asking when he saw that only Long Fei had returned. "Your brother was taken away by the sea. When he returns, he might become the only one," Long Fei said. "But this is no consolation. Dahai Shot never had an opponent. Since he said that he wanted to cultivate Tianqi to be the only one, there would be no mistakes. Just like the dragon dominates the sky, just like himself, so Tianqi will also succeed now." With calm eyes, Tianxin nodded silently. Obviously, she also knew about Tianqi Jie, and when she heard that her brother had the opportunity to become the only one, she was also happy for him, without any reluctance. All beings are equal in front of Tianqi Jie, except for the unique realm, there is still a little chance. "Don't worry, I'm here in this life, I won't let tragedy happen, the most urgent thing is to prepare for disaster." Long Fei's eyes were firm. Apocalypse tribulation is not only related to himself, but also to everyone around him, so no matter what, he must fight to the end. Qingying held Long Fei's hand tightly and didn't say much, but silence speaks louder than words. Suddenly, at this moment, a cry for help suddenly appeared between the heaven and the earth, and it was directly transmitted into this sea of blood. Ngong, help me, Ngong. When Long Fei heard this, his face turned green. This is the door. After the endless coma, Shiyu suddenly got up from the bed. If you want to read the latest chapters, please download the Star Reading app and read the latest chapters for free without ads. The website has not updated the latest chapter content, and the Star Reading novel app has updated the latest chapter content. He took a big gulp of fresh air, his chest trembling. Confused, puzzled, all kinds of emotions came to my mind. Where is this? Afterwards, Shiyu subconsciously observed his surroundings, and then became even more at a loss. A single dormitory? Even if he was successfully rescued, he should be in the ward now. And my own body, how could there be no injuries at all? With doubts, Shiyu quickly swept his gaze across the room, and finally settled on a mirror by the bedside. The mirror reflected his current appearance. He was about 17 or 18 years old, and he was very handsome. But the problem is, it's not him. Download the Star Reading app and read the latest chapter content without ads for free. My previous self was a handsome young man in his 20s who had been working for a while. But now, no matter how you look at it, this appearance is only the age of a high school student. This change left Shiyu in a daze for a long time. Don't tell him that the operation was a success. The body and appearance have changed. This is not a question of whether to have surgery or not, but of fairy art. He turned into a completely different person. Could it be that he crossed over by himself? In addition to the mirror on the bedside, which was obviously placed in a bad feng shui position, Shiyu also found 3 books beside it. Shiyu picked it up and took a look. The title instantly silenced him. Necessary Beast Breeding Handbook for Novice Breeders, Postpartum Care of Pet Animals, Guidelines for Evaluation of Alien Beast Eargirls. Shiyu? The titles of the first 2 books are quite normal. What's the matter with you in the last one? Cough. Shiyu's eyes were serious, and he stretched out his hand, but soon his arm stiffened. Just when he was about to open the 3rd book to see what it was, his brain suddenly felt a sharp pain, and a large amount of memories flooded in like a flood. Icefield City. Pet Breeding Base. Trainee Pet Keeper. The website will be closed soon. Download the Star Reading app to provide you with the most powerful upgrade system. Beastmaster. Chapter 5742. Chapter 5742. A moment later, the 3 figures were brought into the Nether Blood Sea. However, the 9-tailed fox and the others didn't dare to do anything wrong at this time. The moment they saw Qingying, they knew why Long Fei was indifferent to them. In comparison, forget it, it's incomparable. They are all a bit foxy at the very least, but Qingying has a kind of easygoing detached from all living beings. Just this point, there is a huge difference between them. Long Fei didn't care, he didn't think about what to do with the 3 of them. What's more, now that Qingying has been found, it is even more impossible. Ben Gong, the god-conferring tribulation has already begun, we can't live any longer. 9-tailed fox said with a miserable face, as if he was complaining. Yes, benefactor, and they seem to be looking for you. But it's so strange, every time we want to tell you, it seems that there is an inexplicable force to stop us, and even your appearance will be blurred. But afterwards, everything about you will come back again. Hu Shimei said. Nshuwu. With grave at this time, Hu Shimei's body was still wounded, as if she had experienced a great escape. Yes, Ngong, before I thought it was our 3 sisters who had an illusion, and you never appeared at all. Peeper Jing also said. I am the only one in the heavens. My real name cannot be recited. Others cannot know that I exist. It's normal if you can't tell me. Long Fei stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, this is an opportunity that comes to your door, don't pretend it's in vain. In the eyes of the 3 of them, they were extremely revered, as if they were little stars. But why do you say you are looking for me? Since they don't know my existence, why are they looking for me? Long Fei asked back. The servants don't know either, but they seem to know the relationship between us and Benefactor, and they asked who Niu and Yang met in Shenyuan tomb at the beginning. 9-tailed fox said. Long Fei's eyes froze slightly. Very targeted. However, this was all calculated on Niu, and it seemed that the visitor was not kind. "Who are they?" Long Fei asked. "They are the disciples of Chanjiao. They are very powerful. The Nu family is no match at all, but the Nu family knows that since they want to find the young master, maybe a saint is looking for the young master, so naturally they dare not talk nonsense. The nine-tailed fox is pitiful." But Long Fei laughed lightly. "Don't dare to talk nonsense. I can't say it at all. But these are not important now, on the contrary, it is the teaching that the nine-tailed fox said that made him a little bit interested. Before they found the door, they came by themselves. I was looking for an opportunity to be robbed, but I didn't expect them to show up on their own initiative. It's just that when you are sleepy, someone comes to deliver a pillow. In this case, let's start with explaining the teaching." Long Fei said in a low voice. "Tianxin, purify their evil spirit." Suddenly Long Fei looked at Tianxin and said, "This kind of thing is easy to do with his current means, and the reason why Tianxin is allowed to do it is because men and women can't kiss each other. As we all know, Long Fei is a clean man." Tianxin didn't ask, since Long Fei spoke, all he had to do was execute it. Suddenly, a mysterious force directly shrouded the bodies of the three nine-tailed foxes. In an instant, the demonic aura on the three of them disappeared in the blink of an eye as if they were burning in a raging fire. "Their strength is too weak. I will give them a boost and give them a little surer power," Tianxin said. Long Fei nodded. Reading books indeed, the strength of the three of them is too weak, as if they entered this world of conferred gods randomly. The overall strength of this world is terrifyingly strong, but they are still pitifully weak. While speaking, 3 drops of blood appeared in Tianxin's hand. The expressions on the faces of the 3 nine-tailed foxes kept changing. Looking at the blood in front of them, their eyes showed longing. When Tianxin attacked them, they didn't even say a word. Obviously they have resigned themselves to their fate. In front of Liang Jie, they had no choice but to follow Long Fei now and still have a glimmer of life. So let alone getting rid of their demonic aura, even letting them warm the bed is fine. But they absolutely dare not say this. In front of Qingying, saying this is asking for humiliation. But they didn't expect that Long Fei would actually help them improve their strength. "Listen, if you choose to accept this blood essence, you must be absolutely loyal from now on. Otherwise, I can kill you in a single thought. Of course, you can also choose not to accept it, and then walk out of the sea of blood. When the time comes your evil spirit will return, the choice is yours," Tianxin said. She didn't know what kind of existence these 3 people were, but seeing Long Fei's lack of interest in them, she wouldn't be too scruples. After all, so many years have passed, she is still under the means of the sea, and she has existed under this ghostly sea of blood for countless years. She is no longer the little girl back then, and she naturally knows what is going on with many things. "I don't know if I should find some sisters-in-law for my brother. Master's motivation is women. He really dares to risk his life for women. Maybe with sisters-in-law, my brother can also be fierce." Tianxin thought boredly. At this time, the 3 of nine-tailed fox nodded quickly. Such an opportunity is in front of them, how can they miss it? They could not only successfully improve their strength, but also get Long Fei's blessing, which they wished for most. In an instant, without any hesitation, they devoured the essence and blood directly. The next moment, the aura of the 3 of them soared instantly. It can be seen with the naked eye that their cultivation has advanced all the way, and within a few breaths, they have entered the realm of apocalypse, and finally stabilized at the 3rd level of apocalypse. WP. KA with Macron SH. Net thank you benefactor, thank you Ming V. Thank you benefactor, thank you Ming V. Thank you benefactor, thank you Ming V. The 3 spoke in unison. This is simply a great fortune for them. Without the power of Tianxin, perhaps they would not be able to achieve this level of cultivation after exhausting their entire lives. There was also a little surprise in Long Fei's eyes. This ability is a bit dick. Long Fei couldn't help but think of his blood essence. In the past, his blood essence was also responsible for making strong people and saving people. Especially in terms of the dragon race, it can allow them to cross the bloodline level. It's just that this method is rarely used as one's cultivation level improves. Nine-tailed fox, come here. Long Fei said. Nine-tailed fox was a little apprehensive, but now seeing Long Fei calling him, he didn't dare to refuse. At this moment, his heart was even more confused, thinking that Long Fei had eaten too many flowers and wanted to pick a weed. But soon, she realized that she was thinking too much. The moment she reached in front of Long Fei's fingertips shot out a little blood. And as the essence and blood poured into her body, the aura on her body soared even more crazily. The terrifying aura echoed in the nether blood sea for an instant. But soon, an accident occurred. The nine-tailed fox seemed unable to bear this kind of power at all, and began to howl in pain. After the endless coma, Shiyu suddenly got up from the bed. If you want to read the latest chapters, please download the Star Reading app, and read the latest chapters for free without ads. The website has not updated the latest chapter content, and the Star Reading novel app has updated the latest chapter content. He took a big gulp of fresh air, his chest trembling. Confused, puzzled, all kinds of emotions came to my mind. Where is this? Afterwards, Shiyu subconsciously observed his surroundings, and then became even more at a loss. A single dormitory? Even if he was successfully rescued, he should be in the ward now. And my own body, how could there be no injuries at all? With doubts, Shiyu quickly swept his gaze across the room, and finally settled on a mirror by the bedside. The mirror reflected his current appearance. He was about 17 or 18 years old, and he was very handsome. But the problem is, it's not him. Download the Star Reading app and read the latest chapter content without ads for free. My previous self was a handsome young man in his 20s who had been working for a while. But now, no matter how you look at it, this appearance is only the age of a high school student. This change left Shiyu in a daze for a long time. Don't tell him that the operation was a success. The body and appearance have changed. This is not a question of whether to have surgery or not, but of fairy art. He turned into a completely different person. Could it be that he crossed over by himself? In addition to the mirror on the bedside, which was obviously placed in a bad feng shui position, Shiyu also found 3 books beside it. Shiyu picked it up and took a look. The title instantly silenced him. Necessary Beast Breeding Handbook for Novice Breeders, Postpartum Care of Pet Animals, Guidelines for Evaluation of Alien Beast Eargirls. Shiyu? The titles of the first 2 books are quite normal. What's the matter with you in the last one? Cough. Shiyu's eyes were serious, and he stretched out his hand, but soon his arm stiffened. Just when he was about to open the 3rd book to see what it was, his brain suddenly felt a sharp pain, and a large amount of memories flooded in like a flood. Icefield City. Pet Breeding Base. Trainee Pet Keeper. The website will be closed soon. Download the Star Reading app to provide you with the most powerful upgrade system. Beastmaster. Chapter 5743. Chapter 5743. That breath seemed to be like a wave after wave echoing in this ghostly sea of blood. Even Tianxin's face became serious. With a bit of regret on his face, Long Fei stretched out his hand and summoned the blood essence back. It seems that you don't have this good fortune. My strength is too strong, and you can't bear it at all. You can't blame me. I wanted to give you a chance, but you are useless. Long Fei said lightly. The nine-tailed fox gradually woke up from the extreme pain, but at this moment, when he heard Long Fei's words, he became anxious for a moment, and passed out again. But Long Fei ignored it, and looked at Tianxin instead. You try. Tianxin nodded. She is now in the late stage of the 9th layer of Apocalypse. Before that, in the depths of the chaos, her cultivation base has also been improved through repeated life and death. Although she has not reached the limit now, the gap is not too big. Seeing Long Fei's blood essence now made her feel throbbing, and there was a desire in her body, as if this power could make her go one step further. Without hesitation, she swallowed the essence and blood in one gulp. In an instant, violent power erupted in her body. It's just that what happened to the nine-tailed fox did not appear, and this power was completely integrated in Tianxin's body. In just an instant, Tianxin's momentum was shaken suddenly, and he broke through to the next level. Not only that, the entire nether blood sea was shaken by her breakthrough at this moment. It became more ferocious, as if it was a place not close to strangers. Long Fei frowned slightly. Body to the sea. Long Fei murmured. This method is exactly the same as that of the old Nether team back then. I thought it was Tianqi who did this, but I didn't expect it to fall on Tianxin. In an instant, Long Fei felt an urge to cut off the connection between the two. Although merging the Nether Blood Sea can increase Tianxin's strength and make him immortal. Just like that old saying. The Styx never dries up, and the ancestors never die. Now this sentence can also be used on Tianxin. But in the end Long Fei still suppressed the impulse in his heart. Since it was arranged by Dahai behind this, it naturally has his deep meaning. If he takes action, it may have some impact on him. This was arranged by Senior Dahai. Senior Dahai once said that even if we can't become the only ones, I can rely on reincarnation and enter your body. And Tianxin can also rely on the river of Styx to integrate into your body. As long as you don't die, and we shall survive. Qingying said suddenly. Long Fei was shocked. Sure enough. I think he has his own meaning. But now I have a better idea. Since I fit Styx, let Styx become infinitely stronger, and maybe I can create a new unique one. Of course, and you. Long Fei said, a smile could not help appearing on his face. What am I? Qingying asked suspiciously. Tell me, if I make your reincarnation perfect, even strong enough to reincarnate more incredible existences, will your power become stronger? Long Fei asked. And after Long Fei's words fell, Qingying's expression became more and more surprised. She has been working on improving herself, and later on improving the power of reincarnation. However, he has not yet reversed his thinking and used the power of reincarnation to improve himself in turn. Now that Long Fei said it, he felt more and more possible. However, my current strength is already at the limit of the apocalypse realm. Where can there be any existence that can make me reincarnate? Qingying smiled wryly. Leave it to me. In this calamity of the god conferred, countless strong people will definitely die. Are you still afraid that no one will reincarnate you? You know, it's not the calamity they dominate, but the calamity I give them. Since I'm in the calamity, even a sage of the Tao of Heaven will not even think about running away. Long Fei said firmly, his cold light flickering. There is nothing to hesitate. This was his original intention. His mission is here, let alone a saint of heaven, even a Taoist ancestor, he must die. And with Long Fei's thoughts falling, the entire 9 heavens and 10 places, at this moment, dark red thunder descended, even the Saint Dojo could not avoid it. For a moment, the sky was shocked. Kunlun Mountain, the dojo of Yuanxia Tianzuan. Originally, Yuanxia Tianzuan had a smile on his face, but now that the conferred god calamity has started, in their plan, they must be the biggest winners. But all of a sudden, the dark red thunder landed, and he was the first to bear the brunt of the Kunlun Mountains. There was even a thunder that contained absolute killing intent and came straight towards him. All heavens Qingyun! Yuanxia Tianzuan shouted. Immediately afterwards, a group of auspicious clouds celebrating with the whole world suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the thunder, and then it was resolved. What kind of power is it? Who is plotting against me? Yuanxia Tianzuan's face was not calm. In the Palace of 8 Views. Faced with this result like a sage. Although he used means to resolve it, he still fell into panic. Is this the killing intent triggered by a single thought? Who has this kind of means? Could it be Dao Patriarch? Taishang was not calm anymore. Another place. Bio Palace. Master Tongtian split the thunder with a sword, but his expression was gloomy. The meaning of Tu Sheng? Who is it? Who has this kind of means? The leader of Tongtian was also deep in thought, his face was not calm. But how did they know that the Dao ancestor they suspected at this time was the same as the situation they were facing? Above the 9 heavens, amidst the chaos, inside the Zixiao Palace. Daozu looked intently in front of him. A power that surpasses the way of heaven? Impossible. If there is such an existence in this world, it is impossible for me not to have a hunch. Hongjun was also shocked. At this moment, he suddenly thought of Nua. At first he scoffed at Nua's words, but now he can't help but doubt. If such a person really exists, then it is very likely to be the person Nuwa mentioned. For a moment, his face was gloomy. But at this time, in the Heaven and Earth Huayun cave, Nuer and the three emperors of the human race stood opposite each other. It's just that the expressions of the four of them are extremely restless. They also saw the dark red thunder just now. It's him, he's so scary, what he thinks is to lead Quan Jie, or even Tu Sheng. One of them said. And he is the Emperor Fuxi among the three emperors of the human race. Nuwa is also a little involved with him, that's why she came here at this moment. The purpose of her coming is to let Fuxi deduce the existence of Long Fei. Unexpectedly, even Fuxi didn't deduce the whole picture, but only said that there seemed to be some relationship between Long Fei and them. It's just a pity that before he finished speaking, the terrifying thunder of killing intent had already descended. This also triggered Fuxi to say that sentence. He wants to slaughter the saint. Nuwa exclaimed, and then suddenly looked at the looming red rope. Her mind is disturbed. Now it seems that there has been a relationship with Long Fei. I'm also a saint, will he kill me? At this moment, Nuwa couldn't help but think that she didn't even notice that there was some sadness in her eyes. Chapter 5744. Chapter 5744. But Long Fei, the chief culprit who created all of this, didn't even know about it. Of course, Long Fei would never have imagined that his killing intent would cause such a change in the world. At this time, he was still full of calculations, how to let himself be robbed. Let me tell you, the three of you are no longer monsters. Remember to use my name when you do things outside, but you can't kill ordinary people at will. Of course, teaching and assisting is not counted. Long Fei confessed. In Long Fei's eyes, he already knew the extent of the current calamity from the mouth of the nine-tailed fox. Because of his own appearance, he stopped the three nine-tailed foxes, but he did not change the course of history. He also did not expect Nuwa to find the daughter of Su Hu directly. That is Su Deji herself. I don't know how Nuwa persuaded Su Deji. Long Fei thought to himself. But no matter what, since they had already made a move, Long Fei had to take it. Since Su Deji has not yet entered the palace, let them be one step ahead and send the nine-tailed fox and the others there. She believed that with the means of the three nine-tailed foxes, it would be easy to control a Di Shin. It was precisely because of this that Long Fei gave such instructions. Don't worry, benefactor, I will definitely do it. Nine-tailed fox said solemnly. Although the demonic aura on their bodies has been eradicated now, their natures are hard to change, and their charming vigor has not diminished in the slightest. Okay, remember my instructions. If Di Shin is a good monarch, then you will guard the country for him. Don't worry, I am behind you. If Di Shin is a licentious person, do as you please, Long Fei said. After all, it was an existence he was familiar with, so Long Fei still missed a little bit of his feelings. It is said that after the Yin and Shang dynasties there is no king, only the Son of Heaven, so Long Fei wants to see what kind of a king this last generation is. Of course, these are secondary. The most important thing is that when killing people, especially when disciples of the three religions, you must report my name. Long Fei emphasized again. Although the nine-tailed fox and the others didn't know why Long Fei cared so much about this, but since Long Fei ordered them to do so, they were able to follow suit. Naturally, Long Fei authorized them with a single thought. And the name they told them was Long Batian. Of course, Long Fei didn't intend to trick him. Long Fei felt that he was trying to lure people into robbery anyway, so he just made a strong one. I am so familiar with Dahai, pit. No, how can the things that cultural people do be called pits? That's called making a name for him. He didn't think the sea liked it very much. Suo Xinglong Batian is honored to be on the list. After a while, the nine-tailed fox and the three left. Who is Long Batian? Qingying asked suddenly. What? Long Fei was thinking in his heart, wondering how Long Batian was doing at this time, whether he was beaten up or not. After all, he was so arrogant, he just swept all the way across. The one named Long Batian is a ***** anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem to add some ingredients to him now. Hearing Qingying's sudden question at this time, she didn't even react for a while. I just think the name Long Batian is a bit familiar, as if I've heard it before. Qing Ying said with a frown. It should be what Dahai said. This person is an old enemy of mine, and he should be living a comfortable life now, so I will give him some food. Long Fei said with a smile. Qing Ying's eyes suddenly dawned on him. At this moment, when Long Fei said this, he finally remembered where he had heard this name before. I remembered, it was indeed Senior Dahai who said it. Qing Ying said. Long Fei nodded and didn't care. It is normal for Dahai to mention Long Batian. Even Long Fei could think that when Dahai and Long Batian were together, he would definitely mention himself, and maybe he would say something about himself. But Long Fei didn't care, he often did it anyway. In his own mouth, Long Batian is no longer a human being. However, Senior Dahai said that Long Batian is the one most likely to survive the apocalypse. Qing Ying said suddenly. At this moment, Long Fei's pupils shrank. He said it wrong. Long Fei said with deep eyes. Long Fei was going to be strong all his life, so how could he miss out on this matter? As long as I'm here, Long Batian won't be able to do it. What Dahai said won't do, I said it. Perhaps Long Fei couldn't compare to others, but Qing Ying's words at this moment stimulated the anger in Long Fei's heart. Man, can't say no. Qing Ying blinked and looked at Long Fei at this moment, with a faint smile on his face. But Long Fei didn't notice anything in his heart. It seems that I am still too kind. At first, I was a little guilty, but now it seems that I am too kind. Long Fei said bitterly. Tianxin still has Qing Ying. You remember, if you make a move in the future, if you report your name, you will report it to the sea. Long Fei said. Long Batian is no longer available. It is enough for the three of Nine-Tailed Fox to bring some hatred for him. As for the sea, leave it to them too. This isn't that good. Qing Ying hesitated. The sea is kind to her. If it wasn't for the sea, she would never have come to this world. Hearing what Long Fei said now, she didn't feel very good. Be confident and don't take it off. You should say it's too easy. Long Fei's attitude was extremely firm. Originally, he didn't want to drag the sea into the water. But since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unrighteous. When I said to my face that I was the only chance, and now I am in front of others, the dragon dominates the sky, what is this called? Isn't this bullying honest people? Long Fei comforted himself in his heart. But what Long Fei didn't know was that at this moment, besides the billions of stars, the sea was fishing, and finally caught a star directly. Apocalypse, this is the only place where I found a breakthrough for you, directly fused with your body. If you can start life with this star and shape civilization, then you will be the only one. Dahai Yuyu said. Tian Qi looked excited and grateful. Great, finally freed from Long Fei. In comparison, Senior Dahai is more reliable. He has a strong urge to leave the school. Achoo. Suddenly, the sea sneezed. Tian Qi was taken aback suddenly. Will this kind of existence still have this kind of reaction? But I heard Dahai Yuyu say, a sneeze is scolding, it must be Long Fei, this kid is plotting against me. Ph, if that's the case, then let's hurt each other. You want to drag me into a catastrophe, right? I'll do it for you. Dahai had a smile in his eyes, and suddenly his eyes flashed, piercing through nothingness. Immediately afterwards, a figure suddenly appeared. Dahai pointed in his hand, mixed it casually, and then integrated the figure of this person into a ball of light. Go, baby, Dahai said, and suddenly dropped it. The light ball directly broke through the nothingness, and disappeared in an instant. Chapter 5745. Chapter 5745. In the blink of an eye, a month has passed. Long Fei has been immersed in the days of being with Qing Ying. At this time, Long Fei was cultivating his body and mind, and picked up the habit of copying notes again. On the 11th day of the calamity, and 3 days after the 3 demons left, play a 2-player game with Qing Ying. On the 12th day, continue the double game. 13th day, 2-player game. 14th day, Long Fei, how can you be so depraved? You are going to be the only man in the world, and you are a man who wants to fight against the apocalypse. How can you be so immersed in the gentle township? Today is the last time. If I don't do business again, I'm a dog 15th day, woof woof. A small notebook was filled with densely packed words. This book was transformed by Long Fei. Just today, Long Fei wrote the last stroke. On the 30th day, I surrendered. God, if I am wrong, please let the law punish me, and don't let me continue. Then he wrote, with a face full of tears. This month, he seemed to have really turned into a stallion. At first, Qingying's shyness could still bring a lot of stimulation to Long Fei, but later on, Qingying has been thoroughly developed, and playing songs every night is a trivial matter. But the high intensity that is not easy for a month, even if Long Fei has the unique realm and infinite means, he can't handle it. It's tasteless and irresistible. This kind of life is too difficult. Long Fei sighed. But at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Husband. Qingying shouted very naturally. But Long Fei was shocked when he heard this voice. What are you writing? Qingying asked in a low voice. It's nothing. Long Fei denied it categorically, and with a casual touch, the note in front of him describing how he was full of bitter tears instantly turned into nothingness and dissipated into the air. Qingying frowned slightly, a little unhappy. But since Long Fei did this, there was nothing she could do. The three demons are back, they failed. At this moment, Qingying said suddenly. But Long Fei's eyes lit up. It's back, it's good to be back. Long Fei seemed to have grasped at straws, and finally had something to do. If the two-player game continues, Long Fei feels that he will be crippled. At that time, it will not be a matter of a notebook. At that time, a book can be published directly, and the name will be called Long Fei's Daily Life. Long Fei didn't care whether the three demons failed or succeeded. Qingying stared at Long Fei suspiciously. Honey, are you interested in the three of them? Long Fei was taken aback. What are you talking about? How can you think like that? I'm almost at a loss for two-player games. Can multiplayer games be something I can think about? Long Fei felt it was funny. It's ridiculous. Even if he has the heart, the kidneys can't keep up. Of course, this is also where Long Fei feels strange, knowing that his physique and strength have reached an unfathomable level. But on the premise that I have this kind of power, I often feel powerless. From the heart. I didn't feel this way when my own realm was weak before. However, Long Fei checked his body repeatedly, but he didn't notice any surprises. This made Long Fei wonder whether he had returned to his original nature to feel this way. Anyway, he knew that this kind of life couldn't continue. Just now that the three demons were back, Long Fei took the opportunity to leave. As for Qingying, looking at the back of Long Fei leaving at this time, she thought for a while. Didn't Dahai say that Long Fei is an old pervert? And he gave me the kit, saying that as long as I bring it, I can make Long Fei feel like a child. Don't you want to miss Shu? How could it be like this? Thinking in her heart, she opened the kit casually. Then, I found a ray of light coming out of the kit bag. The next moment, she hurriedly chased after him, just in time to see the light falling in front of Long Fei, turning into the figure of the sea. Long Fei watched Dahai suddenly appear, and there was surprise in his eyes. But Long Fei really didn't have the energy, so he went straight to the point. What are you doing here? What are you doing? Of course it's watching a show. Ha ha ha. The sea suddenly laughed. Long Fei's face darkened. Dahai's smile reminded Long Fei of something. Grass, is it your black hand? Long Fei's eyes sank, and he jumped up. At this moment, he wanted to desperately. Dahai's smile never disappeared, and he winked at Long Fei. But this expression also shows that at this time Long Fei guessed right. This month's own life is worse than death. It's all because of this guy behind the scenes. Bastard, how can you be so shameless? Long Fei was furious. This move was too ruthless, and almost made him lose interest in life. Why didn't you say you were shameless when you plotted against me? If you drag me into a catastrophe, you are afraid that you will not be able to bear the catastrophe. Dahai said softly. Joke, since I dared to do it, I didn't think about the consequences. Dahai, you have to come if you come, or come if you don't. Long Fei's eyes were extremely angry. He has never been cowardly. Not even the sea. If you have ambition, that means watch. By the way, I forgot to tell you, this is just a small surprise. and I even cultivated a small opponent for you," Defy said, and the strength of this body gradually disappeared. Long Fei hated his teeth so much that his back molars were crushed. But for everything else, Long Fei can go there. But this time, it almost made him feel unconfident. What if he lost his self-confidence and became invincible? Must be strong. At this time, Qingying's figure also came here, just in time to hear the fury between Long Fei and Defy. She didn't dare to ask, until the figure of the sea disappeared. She said softly, "What happened?" Long Fei looked at Qingying, but since the sea disappeared, it proved that the prank was over. So Long Fei didn't hide it, and talked about the troubles the sea had caused him. Suddenly, Qingying blushed. Thinking of his excessive demands this month, and thinking of Long Fei's sighing appearance at that time, he no longer had the face to stay any longer, turned around and left. Long Fei didn't care. Anyway, it's not a big problem for him to regain his glory now. He looked at the 3 nine-tailed foxes. At this moment, the 3 of them were already stunned by the gap between Long Fei and Defy, without saying a word. "Tell me, what's going on?" Long Fei said. "Young master, there is something wrong with Di Xin. He is not a mortal. His realm is already comparable to that of a quasi-sage. He also has many mysterious means. He can summon people out of thin air, and the people he summons are very strange," Nine-tailed Fox said. When Long Fei heard this, his nerves tensed instantly. This word, how to say it, is a bit familiar. Summon out of thin air? Sister Mona? Suddenly, Long Fei thought of the last sentence Hai said before, and suddenly came to his senses. "Is this the opponent you trained for me? I took it. Only the system can defeat the system. Do you think you are the only one with this kind of means?" Long Fei said leisurely. Chapter 5746. Chapter 5746. A cold light flickered in Long Fei's eyes. But the gaze was not directed at the sea. He and Defy have the same goal, both for the final apocalypse. As for this fight, maybe Defy wanted to test Long Fei. So Long Fei naturally wanted to fight. Of course, there is another point, that is, Defy's affirmation of Long Batian before also stimulated Long Fei, coupled with Defy's evil taste. Long Fei naturally wants to touch him for a while. But again, this also means that the sea has been robbed. When the sea is robbed, the nature is different. Whether it is the sea or him, they both exist beyond this world. Even Daozu is a little Kuromi in their eyes, not worth mentioning. And because the 2 of them were involved in the catastrophe, they would magnify the catastrophe infinitely. It was really an immeasurable catastrophe. This step is the right one. Counting on the original power of this world, even if you get the cause of calamity, it won't be too big. I just don't know what I'm worried about, whether Long Batian perceives it. If Long Batian also makes a move, then it's a good show. The fighting spirit in Long Fei's heart was like madness. He hadn't been this passionate for a long time. While thinking about it, Long Fei's figure flickered, hovering directly above the Nether Blood Sea. He wants to do something, a big thing. But what he didn't know was that at this time, outside the billions of stars, the center of the land of origin, in a huge dragon-shaped castle, a figure stands above the throne. "Want to play? Then touch it. It's interesting to compete in this way. But since you want to play, let's play the big one. Since you all want to reverse the conferred God quantity tribulation, then I will go on the right track. Come here, send 3 letters to my old man's family, saying that I am a dragon and want to mess with people." As Long Batian said, he clicked casually, and the 3 light spots that inscribed his thoughts converged, and finally formed 3 jade slips, which fell into the hands of 3 people respectively. Naturally, the 3 of them didn't dare to hesitate at all, and turned around to leave. The screen turned around, above the Nether Blood Sea. "System, they are doing something. Can you bear it?" Long Fei stood in the sea of blood, expressionless, but he was in contact with the system in his heart. But the system did not give any response. It's just that Long Fei didn't know that at this time, the system had already produced strong inner activities. "What's going on? Didn't you say that Long Fei is the great catastrophe, and everything is centered on improving his cultivation? Why are the 2 of them doing it again now?" "No, it's not 2, it's 3. What's going on here? It's over, it's over. If Long Fei finds out that there is a connection between me and Da Hai, he will definitely destroy me as well. No, no, I didn't betray him, I just listened to some words of Da Hai. Chen-ph, I'm Long Fei's system, so naturally I can't watch Long Fei lose. Summoning system, right? Then I will also create a summoning system, it depends on who is good at us. At this moment, countless thoughts swirled in the system's mind. At this time, Long Fei's voice appeared again. System, are you not good enough? This was Long Fei's intentional stimulation of the system, but he also really had this kind of suspicion in his heart. After all, his own system has evolved to such an extent that it is inextricably intertwined with Da Hai. If Da Hai plays the system by himself, it will definitely not be easy. Ding, players, please be more confident. I am your Long Fei's system. Who do you need to be afraid of? Isn't it the Sea and Long Batian? Do it with them. The system responded domineeringly, this time clearly showing its attitude. Long Fei frowned slightly. At this moment, he felt that something was wrong with the system, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. What's your plan? Long Fei asked. The attitude of the system's response at this time made Long Fei very useful. He wore it for thousands of times, and he didn't flatter him. What's more, it was photographed by the system. Even if he had doubts, Long Fei had to hold back. I listen to you, you arrange it, and I create the system. The system responded. Okay. Upon hearing this, Long Fei regained his energy, and then began to express his ideas. A hodgepodge of the heavens. This time, he wants to play a big game. He wants to create all the strong men he has encountered along the way into the system to form a strongest guardian group. It depends on whether the sea can hold it. When the system heard it, it shouted awesome. It has to be you, awesome. I can guarantee that although Da Hai is strong, his experience may not be as rich as yours. Once this system comes out, who will compete with it? The system said. Stop talking nonsense and start working. Long Fei urged. Soon, the system fell into silence. This time the silence lasted for 3 days. 3 days later, Long Fei was singing, and the singing and singing were falling, and the rising and falling still. The sound of the system suddenly appeared. Ding, congratulations to the host, the strongest summoning system has been released. Players can freely choose who inherits the system, and the player is responsible for summoning. The system said. Originally, Long Fei still had anger in his heart, but when he heard that the system was so cooperative, most of the anger in his heart disappeared immediately. The next moment, he directly shut down the system and continued his two-player game. It has to be said that without Da Hai's former black hand this time, Long Fei directly showed his true qualities as a man. It can only be said that he once again found the joy of life. Then, a new note appears. The system was created on the first day of the system, and I wanted a two-player game. The next day, I want a two-player game. On the third day, I thought about the system, and then I felt a deep sense of guilt. With Qingying in front of me, I actually thought about the system. I'm a bastard, I want a two-player game. Wait until all the dust settles. Long Fei's figure reappeared in the Bloodsea Palace. When doing things, you should behave like you are doing things. When you are playing a two-player game, you must not think about things. That is an insult to the two-player game. System, continue talking. Long Fei said softly. Although the system was very upset, it still felt like suppressing his emotions. There was no way, who made him do something that made Long Fei unhappy? Ding, the system has created a system. According to the player's suggestion at the time, the player has drawn up 10 system heirs for the player. The system responded. Soon, the information of 10 people appeared on the system panel. Long Fei scanned them one by one, and finally denied them all. But suddenly, when Long Fei's eyes fell on the last panel, he became interested. On this panel, there are only 5 simple words: Great Emperor of the Immortal Kingdom, win. It's him. A shadow of a person suddenly appeared in Long Fei's mind. This is a character in a novel that Long Fei had read in his previous life, but this character is really good. In the end he defeated fate, surpassed the number of days, everyone is like a dragon. It broke the sky. That's him, all I want is him, and I want him in his prime. Ying is already invincible, if you have a system now, I'll see how you can play with me. Long Fei was extremely excited, his eyes brightened. His intuition told him that this must be an epic duel. Chapter 57:47. Chapter 57:47. There was an unprecedented light in Long Fei's eyes. Although Hai was awesome, he might not be able to think of this. It is undeniable that Dahai is indeed very resourceful, otherwise it would be impossible to train him and Long Batian to become the only ones. Even if he takes away Tianqi now, Long Fei also believes that there will be no accidents, and he will definitely become the only one. However, being able to cultivate invincibility does not mean that there are no accidents. Especially this time, it was Long Fei who confronted him. Long Fei has always been self-confident, and he has absolute confidence in the person he has selected. The first person in the eternal fortune, the first emperor of the Fairyland. Moreover, from other dimensions, Ying is an extremely powerful existence. Even on the earth, this is an emperor through the ages. Such a person has him behind him, plus the strongest summoning created by himself system. Who are you afraid of? Long Fei couldn't wait. No matter who you summon, they are not as awesome as the ones I summoned, that's all. Soon, Long Fei's eyes became firm. System, what are you waiting for? Just call people out. Long Fei's voice was full of excitement. In other words, Long Fei himself was looking forward to such a meeting. Ding, the system starts summoning characters, the Emperor of the Fairy Kingdom, Win. Ding, the super summoning array is activated, summoning the virtual existence, Win. Ding, the formation has been activated. Ding, the summoning was successful. The sound of the system is continuous. When the sound fell, the arena was already filled with golden light, surrounded by countless profound lights. Suddenly, there was a sound of dragon chant. The sound is extremely vast, piercing the world. In an instant, outside the Nether Great Hall, the Nether Blood Sea began to roll violently, with huge waves surging to the sky. But reflected in the world of conferred gods, there are patches of dark clouds covering the sky, thunder rolling, ghosts crying and gods howling, and people's hearts are confused. Countless human races looked at the world blankly, as if they felt some kind of light of hope entering their hearts. Even the cultivator seemed to perceive something at this moment, with a confused look on his face. The saints of the heavens also felt the pressure this time, and couldn't help but look in the direction of the Nether Blood Sea. It's the Nether Blood Sea. What happened here? What kind of terrifying existence has appeared? Why did the heaven and the earth react so strongly that the heaven and the Tao are trembling? This is Yuanxia Tianzuan. Is it the one that my junior sister said existed? This was Tai Shong. My sword is trembling, but judging from the reaction on the sword, it is not the person who caused the killing last time. It seems that this piece of world is getting more and more lively. I really don't know what kind of existence is coming. Master Tongtian sensed the change of the long sword in his hand, and his eyes flickered. Perhaps among the saints in the heavens, he is the only one who sees the most clearly, knowing that the current changes are not caused by one person at all. Of course, this kind of aura can't be concealed from Dao Zu's perception. Dao Zu's eyes passed through the world and fell directly on the Nether Blood Sea, but Long Fei had already noticed it just as his eyes fell roll. Long Fei shouted angrily. It's a joke, the people he summoned, the ancestors of heaven and earth can't look directly at them. It's just so domineering, it's just so awesome. And as Long Fei opened his mouth, that gaze instantly collapsed, disappearing above the Nether Blood Sea. For the next time, Long Fei was immersed in the call, without taking his eyes off it. What Long Fei didn't know was that there was another person who felt the change here. This person is naturally the sea. Dahai's eyes were full of interest. What a dog, I just made a small move, you can give me a big move, right? You can't play the game if you just release the king bomb in fighting the landlord. You are forcing me to be serious. Dahai said leisurely. Immediately afterwards, a bit of fighting spirit appeared in Dahai's eyes. In this case, I will have fun with you. After speaking, a bit of fighting intent rose in Dahai's eyes. Then play with you. The strongest summoning system, so let's see who can summon stronger. Defy said, his hands became busy, and after a while, a mysterious light flashing with countless light clusters instantly disappear in the blink of an eye disappeared. At this time, in the royal court of the Yin and Shang dynasties, a man wearing an emperor's robe and an emperor's crown suddenly opened his eyes. System evolution? Is there such a function? I am indeed the chosen one, and I am the only one who is the ***** of the gods. As the man spoke, infinite killing intent appeared on his face. The screen turned back, and it was in a sea of blood. The anticipation in Long Fei's eyes remained undiminished, and the voice of Long Yin gradually dimmed. Instead, a figure appeared. A black dragon robe, with the blue sky on his back, has supreme majesty. Summon the widow? Ying said softly, looking up at Long Fei. Existence of detachment. You summoned the widow to come? Ying asked coldly. The emperor's prestige was infinite. That's right, I summoned you. Long Fei responded. But there are doubts in my heart. This dog system seems a little unreliable. Why does he, who was summoned by himself, treat him with such an attitude, as if he doesn't have the slightest sense of belonging to him? Could it be the same as before, and he will turn against him at any time? Ding, the system doesn't have such an idea. I forgot to tell you before that the existence to be summoned is too powerful. And, it's stronger than I thought. He is not alone. Although I only summoned him, he has his own fairyland in him. In other words, we played big this time, and we summoned a world. The system responds one after another. And the voice was extremely excited, obviously shocked by the situation in front of him. And Long Fei was even more shocked at this time. Judging from the system's response, this is no longer a problem with the call, but a major change. This is tantamount to summoning a big world to participate in the calamity. In this way, the God-conferred calamity will become even more terrifying, reaching an unpredictable level. But the more this happened, the more excited Long Fei was. Well done, then let me see who is more powerful in the collision of the two worlds. Long Fei was extremely excited. It works surprisingly well. Never expected that this is the summoning of a great emperor with his own fairy kingdom. Who else? Just ask who else is there. Long Fei's mood at this time can only be described as excitement, and he didn't care about Ying's expression at all. How can a detached person be like this? Why is it like a brain without a string? He doesn't seem to care about the widow at all, and there is even a kind of fanaticism in his eyes. Ying frowned slightly. A majesty that belonged exclusively to the great emperor of the immortal kingdom raged out. Who are you? Ying put his hands behind his back, swallowing the world with anger. Long Fei regained his composure, and said softly, Let me introduce briefly, I am the only Lord of the Heavens. This time I summoned you to this world. The purpose is very simple, to fight for luck for my human race. Everyone in the human race is like a dragon, and they are not afraid of gods and Buddhas. Long Fei said in a deep voice. Chapter 57:48. Chapter 57:48. Long Fei's face was extremely serious. He knew what Ying was thinking. No matter how many souls he killed under the great Qin Iron Cavalry, in his heart, the mission was supreme, and he pursued detachment from the way, and detachment from fate all his life. The only long-cherished wish is to make everyone like a dragon. And the moment Long Fei's voice fell, Ying's face finally moved. With a cute 5. Net exceeding fate. Everyone is like a dragon? Ying pondered. He had really done it before he knew how difficult this step was. Although he transcended once, he also knew how terrifying his fate was. You want me to help you? Ying Fan asked. It has to be said that Long Fei is very good at grabbing people's hearts. At this time, the anger in Ying's heart had quietly subsided. That's right, that's true. But it's not so much helping me as it is helping the universe. As you can see, there will be a calamity here. I don't know if the way of heaven here is the same as the fate you faced back then. This kind of existence, but what is certain is that only by breaking this calamity can all beings break the shackles of heaven. Long Fei started the fooling mode. When he saw Ying's reaction, he knew that this kind of existence was beyond his control, and the best way was not to control, but to resonate. So now Long Fei directly started to show off his acting skills. In short, his words seemed to be very helpful to Ying. In just an instant, Ying was already moved. He looked up at the void, as if he was perceiving Long Fei's words, referring to whether the Tao of heaven here is stronger, or the fate of his own world is stronger. The Tao of heaven here is very strong, which is about as good as my fate in this world. But there are many strong people in this world, and there are still many people who rely on the Tao of heaven to practice. It's this kind of person that I hate the most. Ying's expression became indifferent. Exactly, I also hate them very much. And their power has penetrated into the calamity. There are many ways to solve them, but the most fundamental solution is to let your fairy kingdom come. Completely become the leader of the calamity part of it. Long Fei continued. No way, Ying is very powerful. With such a perception, his cultivation is already the only one. Even if he is not as strong as himself, he has no way to suppress the opponent. That's why Long Fei adopted this policy. Ying pondered slightly, thinking for a while. It is indeed feasible to bring the fairy kingdom down. After a while, Ying spoke. Long Fei was overjoyed. Since Ying said so at this time, it means that he has approved Long Fei's idea. However, you seem to know me very well. How do you know that I am beyond fate? How do you know that my fairyland is on me? Ying asked. He basically believed Long Fei's words, and he also wanted to transcend once more, to make all living beings like dragons. However, he didn't want to be played with in the palm of his hand. And what Long Fei said at this moment clearly had an absolute understanding of himself. Of course I know. You are in the realm of detachment, and so am I. But what I am detached from is another world. Now I came here to control this calamity, enter it, find the cause of the calamity, and save more. And you are the only chance I have deduced. Long Fei said half-truthfully. Measuring the calamity this time is far from being as simple as the power of the local world. Those people you perceive to exist relying on the way of heaven are just small dishes, and they will die as soon as they are touched. What is really powerful is the black hand behind Yin Shong Emperor Shin. Yin Shong Emperor Shin is no longer the original self. He may have been taken away and reborn, and he also controls extremely terrifying power. There is also a black hand who is an old Yin Bai, although now I don't know what method the other party will take to enter this calamity. But what is certain is that the opponent will definitely make a move. And I have worked so hard to deduce that my only chance of winning lies with you, Emperor Qin. Only you, the great emperor of the immortal kingdom, can turn the world around. Long Fei admired it very much, and he did not hesitate to praise Ying. But he didn't know that the system was speechless to him at this time. Damn it. I've been licking dogs since I opened my mouth. Is it because I've been licked too much? Some routines are already familiar to me. With this operation, I have to give him a cigarette when the sheep come here. The system was extremely helpless. This was the first time he had seen Long Fei like this. However, this also explained from another aspect that Long Fei was interested in this time of conferred God quantity tribulation. Otherwise, based on his good fortune, it would be impossible to say such things to a Ying. Ying slightly pondered. I can let you have such a detached existence and speak in such a tone. Even if it is fake, I will give you face. Ying said. Regarding Long Fei's words, although he didn't fully believe them, he believed most of them. A detached existence, how supreme, naturally disdains to lie about this kind of thing. Unfortunately, he knew nothing about Long Fei. If he knew that the black hand behind the scenes that Long Fei said was guided by him, he didn't know how he would feel. At this time, Long Fei was also excited. Hearing Ying's response, he naturally knew Ying's choice. As expected of a detached immortal emperor, this system is my gift to the immortal emperor. Although this kind of power may not be useful to you, it is better than nothing. It's not too late. Next, let's ask the immortal emperor to take action, summon the immortal kingdom, and come directly to this world. Long Fei said. He couldn't wait. Dahai had already made a move, how could he not accept the move? Of course, he even doubted that if he made such a big commotion now, the other side of the sea must have responded, and even taken countermeasures. Reading book speed is the most important thing in soldiers, and time is the essence. Only by taking a decisive move by surprise and taking the initiative can we take the lead. It doesn't matter, the Fairyland is on me now. If I want to, I can ascend to the Fairyland immediately. Ying said softly. That's a good relationship. Look at a place. I'll level it out for you. You can create a fairy dynasty. Long Fei said. No, the celestial dynasty is under my control. Where I am, the celestial dynasty is located. Since you summoned me here, then the celestial dynasty will be established on this sea of blood. Ying whispered. For Ying, it doesn't matter where Xianchao was created. The important thing is that he has decided to fight at this moment. Above this sea of blood. That's fine, now this sea of blood and ghosts are all unowned, so there is nothing wrong with establishing the immortal dynasty here. Long Fei said. Ying shook his head lightly. If what you said just now is correct, then I can basically be sure that in the future this world will be a three-legged struggle. And these three parties will represent different meanings. Emperor Xin of the Yin and Shang dynasties is the master of the world, and the Sage of Heaven is the incarnation of the immortal body. Then I will be the master of this endless darkness. Ying said softly. Net his voice was soft, but his will was extremely firm. This is the master of a generation of detachment, the emperor of the immortal kingdom, who is fearless. When Long Fei heard it, his eyes jumped. As expected of the great emperor of the immortal kingdom, he has filled the gap without making a fuss. Long Fei sighed in his heart, but he became even more excited immediately. With such an existence, Long Batian is nothing, and neither is the sea. After the endless coma, Shiyu suddenly got up from the bed. If you want to read the latest chapters, please download the Star Reading app, and read the latest chapters for free without ads. The website has not updated the latest chapter content, and the Star Reading novel app has updated the latest chapter content. He took a big gulp of fresh air, his chest trembling. Confused, puzzled, all kinds of emotions came to my mind. Where is this? Afterwards, Shiyu subconsciously observed his surroundings, and then became even more at a loss. A single dormitory? Even if he was successfully rescued, he should be in the ward now. And my own body, how could there be no injuries at all? With doubts, Shiyu quickly swept his gaze across the room, and finally settled on a mirror by the bedside. The mirror reflected his current appearance. He was about 17 or 18 years old, and he was very handsome. But the problem is, it's not him. Download the Star Reading app and read the latest chapter content without ads for free. My previous self was a handsome young man in his 20s who had been working for a while. But now, no matter how you look at it, this appearance is only the age of a high school student. This change left Shiyu in a daze for a long time. Don't tell him that the operation was a success. The body and appearance have changed. This is not a question of whether to have surgery or not, but of fairy art. He turned into a completely different person. Could it be that he crossed over by himself? In addition to the mirror on the bedside, which was obviously placed in a bad feng shui position, Shiyu also found 3 books beside it. Shiyu picked it up and took a look. The title instantly silenced him. Necessary Beast Breeding Handbook for Novice Breeders, Postpartum Care of Pet Animals, Guidelines for Evaluation of Alien Beast Eargirls. Shiyu? The titles of the first 2 books are quite normal. What's the matter with you in the last one? Cough. Shiyu's eyes were serious, and he stretched out his hand, but soon his arm stiffened. Just when he was about to open the 3rd book to see what it was, his brain suddenly felt a sharp pain, and a large amount of memories flooded in like a flood. Icefield City. Pet Breeding Base. Trainee Pet Keeper. The website will be closed soon. Download the Star Reading app to provide you with the most powerful upgrade system. Beastmaster. Chapter 5749. Chapter 5749. Above the netherworld, an endless sea of blood rises. Ying's figure stood above the sea of blood. Even Long Fei was on the sidelines, reduced to a foil. Should I say it or not, at this time he was a bit pretentious. Even Tian Xin couldn't bear to watch this scene. Of course, Qingying and the 3 demons couldn't stand it either. In their hearts, Long Fei is absolute. No one can put on an air of superiority in front of Long Fei. Master, who is this? Tian Xin asked. Although she didn't say anything harsh, the coldness in her eyes and words already explained everything. To her, Long Fei was irreplaceable. If it wasn't for Long Fei, their brother and sister might have died in the world of heaven and man. Although there is a layout of the sea behind this, in the final analysis, it is because of Long Fei. He is an invincible person. Long Fei said. There is nothing to say about Ying. Although it was the first time he had come into contact with this fairy fruit emperor, Long Fei was obsessed with his power. The Lord of the Fortune, transcending fate, it is not an exaggeration to describe it as invincible. This answer caused the expressions on the faces of the three of them to change. My lord, are you joking? In front of you, who dares to say invincible, who dares to say invincible? Nine-tailed Fox asked in disbelief. In his eyes, Long Fei was absolutely invincible. Even the sages of the heavenly Tao have to give face and stay away. In this world, I am afraid that only Taoist ancestor has the opportunity to sit on an equal footing in front of Long Fei. Therefore, when Long Fei showed such a gesture at this time, it directly broke her cognition. It seems that they don't understand why there are so many powerful existences suddenly appearing in this world. Because he was called, that's enough. From now on, Fengshen Liangjie will assist him with all your strength, and I will be behind the scenes. Long Fei ordered. He knows Qianxin's temperament. If he doesn't explain it at this time, he doesn't know what kind of trouble will happen then, so he still needs to warn some things in advance. Assist him? That depends on whether he has the ability. Tianxin was still not convinced. She felt that even if Long Fei didn't make a move, he should let his brother come. Only in this way can we cope with this calamity. But she didn't expect that a person who came out of nowhere would just grab her brother's position, which made her very upset. I know you're not convinced, but you have to remember, this is my arrangement. Besides, don't you want to see what skills he has? Then you should watch carefully. Long Fei said. He knew what Win was doing at this moment. Bring the fairy fruit here. Although it is not a clever method to hold the universe in your palm, it is a civilization that carries another world. I have reached the later stage, and when I enter other worlds, I come directly with my own power. But at the beginning, when I entered other worlds, I was poor and empty, with nothing. If it weren't for the system, I might have burped a long time ago. And Ying is also out of bounds now. Transcendence is equivalent to being the only one, so it is not surprising that he came with his own power at this time. The only thing that surprised Long Fei was that what he was carrying was his own civilization, which was fundamentally different from what he was just keeping. So at this time, Long Fei was watching with curiosity. At this time, Ying was on top of the sea of blood, looking towards the sky. As if feeling something. Later, a look of indifference appeared on his face. You agree that I will descend, but if you disagree, I will descend too. He shouted angrily, and immediately opened his left hand. With my will, the great winning immortal dynasty will come. Winning looks down on Wushuang, and the emperor is mighty. It is no exaggeration to say that at this moment, he is the only ruler in this world. Rumble. With his voice down. In his palm, the shadow of a fairyland stretched for thousands of miles, shining with endless mysterious light, descending on this sea of blood. Boom boom boom. Even the boundless sea of blood began to spread out, as if he didn't dare to do anything wrong in front of this power. After a while, the fairy country fell steadily. And at the moment when the immortal kingdom fell, figures rose from the immortal kingdom one after another. Emperor! Emperor! Uncountable sounds merged into one at this moment, roaring the world. This scene changed the expressions on the faces of Tianxin and others. They all gasped. Before this moment, Ying was just a man in an imperial robe in their eyes. But at this moment, they really felt what it means to be the 9th five-year lord, what it is to be the great emperor of the immortal kingdom, and what it is to dare to fight against the sky. Especially at this moment when they think about what Ying said, they have a kind of understanding in their hearts. That's what Ying said, and it wasn't for them at all. It's about talking to heaven. He is talking to the will of heaven, strongly disobeying the will of heaven, and putting his own will above the will of heaven. He is so strong, I only felt it at this moment. Tianxin said. Now Tianxin has truly seen Ying's strength, and finally understands why Long Fei chose him as his spokesperson. I am afraid that only this kind of person is worthy of cooperating with Long Fei. Not even his own brother. This is only on the surface. His power is even more terrifying than you imagined. Just watch, you will soon see it, and then you will know that this conferred god calamity started from the moment he came, is the real beginning. Long Fei said. Long Fei has absolute confidence in Ying. If possible, he would call it the second strongest man in history. Of course, the number one throne belongs to him. At this time, Ying, who was in the distance, raised his head slightly and stood with his hands behind his back. Get up. Ying said a word. He seems to have been used to this kind of worship. At his level, he naturally doesn't care about these red tapes, but the Immortal Kingdom has the rules of the Immortal Kingdom, and the Great Emperor has the divine power of the Great Emperor, not to mention that he has already transcended, so even if he doesn't open his mouth, the subordinates of the Immortal Kingdom will take the initiative to worship. Next, what do you want to do? Ying looked at Long Fei. Now Long Fei is in charge. But it doesn't matter to him, all he wants is to be detached again. Moreover, he has the feeling that if he transcends in this world, his strength will go one step further. The common people are like dragons, and he is the ancestor. At that time, the faith of the common people will lift him to a new height, above the sky. Of course, there is a premise for this, that is, in a melee, he can win. Since the fairy kingdom has come, let the heavens know it. From the way you look, you should have communicated with the heavenly Tao here, and he must be dying of chaos now. If this is the case, take advantage of his illness to kill him, directly send troops to destroy Shichi, Long Fei said. This world might be different from the world of conferred gods he knew. But since there is Yin Shong, Shichi naturally also exists. Yin Shong now has Hai's handwriting, so he will not move for the time being. Once they face it directly, it will be a decisive battle. Chapter 5750. Chapter 5750. Another point is that Long Batian also came from the earth. In other words, Long Batian must also know the process of conferring the gods. He had no choice, but he would not choose Shichi either. After all, this is just a mortal country. As for which camp he would choose, Long Fei didn't care, but since the conferred god quantitative tribulation had already been activated, and if he wanted to quickly promote the quantitative calamity, then the most direct way would be to draw from the bottom of the pot and take the victors who should have belonged to the quantitative calamity, to extermination. In this way, this mass calamity is the real chaos. Ying groaned slightly, listening to Long Fei's analysis, his eyes turned, and he went straight through the endless sea of blood and the sky. I also know what you said about conferring gods. Although the world I live in is the fairy dynasty, I have a friend who seems to come from the same place as you. The kingdom of the Western Jew dynasty should be destroyed. How can the Lord of the world call heaven his father? Gods and Buddhas, how can they control human affairs? The Lord of the world must look like the Lord of the world. Ying Yuyu said. He didn't like Shi Ju very much. It is said that after the Yin and Shang dynasties, there was no king, only the emperor. Many times, Ying was thinking that if he was in this age of conferred gods, he would be the master of the world, the king of the human race. Let the immortals tremble, and let the gods bow their heads. And now, it can be regarded as finally having this opportunity. Long Fei's heart was surging when he heard it, and his blood was surging. Okay, you are worthy of being the first emperor of the ages. However, after this time, you will no longer be the only emperor of the human race, you will be the only emperor of the human race, the eternal king. Long Fei said. This is not a compliment, but Long Fei really thinks so in his heart at the moment. He also wanted to see, after this catastrophe, whether the human race could be detached, and everyone was like a dragon. Of course, the detachment of an ethnic group is bound to be impossible to reach the level of winning. As you wish. Ying said. Wang Jian, by Qi, I order you to lead 100,000 elite troops to conquer Shichi. A cold light flickered in Ying's eyes. At this moment, he finally showed the dominance of an emperor through the ages. He doesn't seem to have any intention of staying alive. When Long Fei heard this, he was also shocked. 2 generals were dispatched at once. And these are the masters of killing, whose subordinates are contaminated with millions of souls. Especially by Qi, who is known as a human butcher, such an existence, it is even more unknown how many lives were lost under the sword. Similarly, Long Fei also understood that this was to punish Shi Qi to death. Wang Jian and Bai Qi both have the 9th level of the Apocalypse realm. In this world of conferred gods, apart from saints, they are already invincible, even compared to the previous Apocalypse. Too much difference. With such a cultivation base, it is no problem to sweep Shi Qi away. The last general takes orders. The 2 spoke at the same time. In the next moment, the 2 of them were instantly covered with a layer of black armor. The black armor wasn't too thick, but it exuded an astonishing aura. Even Long Fei couldn't help but take a second look. Is it necessary to mobilize the troops like this? It's just Shi Qi, you can use 2 generals, and they are fully armed. Long Fei said. If it wasn't for the fear of bullying people a bit, I would have wanted to conquer in person. As you said, Shi Qi will not exist in a 3-legged confrontation, so it would be better if it was wiped out sooner. Ying said faintly. Long Fei nodded. This is not bad, even Long Batian would definitely not choose this Shi Qi. So instead of leaving Shi Qi to cause trouble later, it is better to destroy it as soon as possible. Soon, Long Fei watched the 2 of them rise into the sky with the army. As for Ying, he looked at Long Fei. When I communicated with Fang Tiandao just now, he seemed to know my existence. Ying suddenly said. Long Fei was stunned. Don't make trouble, you are detached, maybe you are already above Fang Tiandao, how could he know your existence? Long Fei couldn't believe it. Although this world is different from the world of conferred gods that I know. But the basic framework is the same. Hong Jun, who incarnates the way of heaven, is also detached, and the saints of all heavens are not considered to be truly unique. Do you think the widow is joking? When my consciousness merged into the heaven and the earth, and announced the coming of the great Yingxian dynasty, although the heaven could not influence my will, he responded, I am detached. Make super breaking away from the matter of heaven and earth will cause greater disasters. Ying said lightly. Long Fei's face darkened. He felt something was wrong. This world is very taboo towards him. It seems that even a saint is not qualified to mention his name, but this day, the heaven knows that Ying is a detached body, which is a bit abnormal. So, the widow decided to go meet the Tao ancestor who incarnated the Tao of heaven for a while. Ying suddenly said. Then let's go and have a look together. Long Fei nodded and said. At this moment, he is also interested in this side of heaven. Besides, I have been in this world for so long, except for Nuer, I have never seen other strong people, so I can take advantage of this opportunity to meet them. Soon, the figures of the 2 disappeared in an instant. Appeared again, but already above Ling Xiao. Looking from a distance, a palace with rising purple energy appeared in front of Long Fei. Zixiao Palace. But Long Fei's footsteps stopped. He looked at Zixiao Palace presented in front of him, feeling extremely surprised in his heart. Damn it, I got it. The person you're talking to isn't Tiandao, let alone a sage of Tiandao. Long Fei's expression changed. Because at this moment, he actually sensed a familiar aura in front of the Zixiao Palace. Cause of robbery. A group of extremely terrifying catastrophe. This is stronger than what he encountered in the depths of the chaos and the beginning of the gods and demons. That is to say, this cause of catastrophe is stronger than every previous catastrophe. What do you mean? Ying asked. To put it simply, this is conferred God measurable calamity. What you are talking to is not the way of heaven, but conferred God Jirin. Long Fei didn't say much, and directly explained the existence of Jirin to Ying Ting. Jieyin. Interesting. But he took the initiative to communicate with me at this time, which also shows that the arrival of the widow made him feel uneasy. Ying said lightly. In an instant, his figure stepped forward and was about to walk forward. Long Fei followed closely behind, and he also felt something was wrong. Jie Yin actually had his own thinking, he didn't expect it. I thought that this conferred god calamity was carried out under the control of the sages of the heavens, but now it seems that this world is fundamentally different. He has put the cart before the horse. It is not because of the manipulation of the Tao of heaven and the sages of the heavens that the calamity is caused, but because of the cause of the calamity, the Tao of heaven is urged to respond accordingly, thus triggering the calamity of conferred gods. While thinking about it, Long Fei's pupils shrank. Look down on me, I was indifferent when I came here, and Ying took the initiative to negotiate as soon as he appeared. A cold light flashed in Long Fei's eyes, and he followed Ying's footsteps into it. In one step, he and Ying came to a palace where the purple air was rising. Obviously, this is not Zixiao Palace. There is no breath of heaven in it. But the moment the two figures stopped, the purple palace turned into a stream of light and disappeared instantly. Both Long Fei and Ying's expressions froze, and they froze in place. Chapter 57-51. Chapter 57-51. Especially Ying, he looked at Long Fei in disbelief. Before coming here, this robber would have guessed that Ying Zheng would come. In fact, it is also the case. As soon as the two of them appeared above the void, there was already an abnormality here, as if they were being attracted. But as soon as they approached, the power suddenly disappeared. Long Fei was also stunned, and touched his nose. He found that he was wrong. The reason for this catastrophe seemed to be not that he didn't give face, but that he was afraid of him. Now he ran away without even daring to meet him face to face, let alone actively contacting him. "He's afraid of you," Ying said. At this time, Ying Zheng also saw it. His eyes also fell on Long Fei with deep meaning. His eyes were deep, with an indescribable taste. After all, he is also detached. But now, Jie Yin dared to take the initiative to contact him, but avoided Long Fei. The contrast between the two was clear at a glance. It's a little unnatural for Long Fei to be stared at by Ying. No way, this is the halo of the protagonist. Long Fei felt helpless. Although they are both unique realms, there is still a big gap between them. After all, Long Fei went through shattering, became unique from the eternal place, and then entered the unique burial place, and began to practice for a long time. Only then did he have the power he has today. Moreover, as for the fear of him due to this calamity, Long Fei guessed that it was mostly because he had devoured two causes of calamity and realized two fruits of calamity. But it's also very helpless. Now that Jie is afraid of him, he just disappeared, so this trip is meaningless. Long Fei didn't respond to Ying's doubts. "Let's go." Long Fei turned around and said. But Ying didn't do anything at this time. He is waiting for Jiyu in front, but Jiyu wants to see why he is afraid of you and not me. Ying responded. Long Fei. Long Fei narrowed his eyes, feeling an urge to kill this cause of calamity. But after thinking about it, he still forcibly held back. He wanted to disrupt the chaos of function, although he didn't know why the robbery jumped out first, but the catastrophe hadn't started yet. If he killed the robbery cause, it would be no good to him benefit. With a cold snort, Long Fei's figure flashed and disappeared instantly. And just after Long Fei disappeared, that beautiful light group descended again, forming a palace. After a while, Ying walked out of the palace, and the purple halo disappeared. No one knew what they talked about, but Ying's face became more and more serious. "I see. No wonder he is afraid of you. Long Fei. Interesting." Ying made a soft sound. Then, the figure disappeared. At this time, on the land of Shichi, the soldiers of the immortal kingdom will be in the sky, covering the sky and blocking out the sun. It's a disaster without reason. Shibwa Hu Jichang scattered tortoise shells in his hands. Just like the world of conferred gods that Long Fei knew, Jichang here is also proficient in gossip and good at divination. When Bai Qi and Wang Jian led the people from the immortal kingdom to come, he had already sensed the danger, but only after divination did he realize that everything had changed. Just half a month ago, he deduced that the destiny was in Shichi, which was a catastrophe for heaven and earth, but Shichi was the biggest winner this time. It is they Shichi who really dominate the conferred gods. Although he will fall in the catastrophe, he will be enshrined in the future, and his son will become the first emperor after the era of kings, and he will be enshrined in heaven. But now, when he tried divination again, he found that everything had changed. Originally, they were still destined by fate, but now they became cannon fodder. Even, in this hexagram, he discovered that it wasn't just them who really became cannon fodder, but even the gods in the sky who were the masters of this time's conferred god calamity became cannon fodder. Terrible, who on earth has such a terrifying method that can even change the secrets of heaven, and even change the way of heaven? Ji Chang was completely terrified. The dark tide is surging. The current world is no longer the world he knew. Not to mention anything else, the army in Lincheng is already their doomsday. The reason why he deduces, besides being puzzled, is that it is a fluke, is to see if there is a glimmer of life. But from this point of view, it was all a dead end. Father, it's not good, the Prime Minister has left. At this time, a voice suddenly broke in, with anxiety on his face. The one who spoke was naturally GFA. Ji Chang sneered, he can't run away, run? Where to run? Under the chaos, everything is a dead end, where can they run? Not to mention him, even the gods in the sky will become cannon fodder, but he is only a disciple of teaching, so how can he survive? Moreover, don't forget, he is the one who should be robbed of the conferred god measuring tribulation. Originally, he was the protagonist of conferred god, and he will be in charge of conferred god in the future. But under the current chaos, the power behind this is clearly rushing to seal the gods. As the person who leads the seal of the gods, can he run? Father, what's the matter with you? GFA also felt that Ji Chang's mood was not right. In the past, his father cared very much about the Prime Minister, Jiang Shong, but now he is so indifferent. It's okay to be indifferent, but there is a taste of wishing for the other party's death in his tone, which makes him very puzzled. Fa, you may not understand some things. Do you really think that the Prime Minister came to Shichi to help us? To overthrow the tyranny, to help the building collapse, and to save the people from the fire? Ji Chang had a sneer in his eyes. Although GFA didn't understand, Ji Chang knew it very well. Everything is just for the purpose of conferring the gods. At the beginning, he was in awe because they were the ones who benefited from that calamity. But now, they are all approaching the city, and they are already in a doomed situation. How could they maintain their previous mentality? GFA's face was heavy, and he didn't know why his father would say such words. Needless to say, the questioning and contempt in the words have already shown everything. GFA regained his composure and was about to speak, but was interrupted by Ji Chang's voice. You don't need to say it, it's useless to say it. Ji Chang's heart was in a mess, and he didn't want to hear more from GFA. GFA. Didn't you ask? GFA was speechless. But facing Ji Chang, he still didn't dare to make mistakes, and he didn't dare to say too much. You go back first. Ji Chang's face became more and more serious. Under the dead situation, he still wanted a chance to survive, and it was difficult to reach the sky. GFA frowned deeply, intending to say something, but seeing Ji Chang's expression, he had no choice but to leave. When GFA left, Ji Chang suddenly fell to the ground as if he lost all his strength. Heaven is going to kill me, Shichi, but what kind of existence can change the fate of heaven and earth? But I, Shichi, are also innocent. What can we, Shichi, do about the matter that God has settled down? Now I want Shichi to take the blame first. I'm not willing. Ji Chang talked to himself, his eyes full of helplessness. If Long Fei saw this scene, he would definitely feel shocked. This is not at all the same as the Ji Chang he knew. But it doesn't matter to him even if he knows it. In the entire conferred god calamity, they are the link that broke the situation, and for the entire human race, they are the chief culprits that let the common people be reduced to the control of the gods. Real after the opening, the human race after that, under the gods, is like ants. So no matter what, they will perish. Chapter 57-52. Chapter 57-52. Above the sky of Shichi, the army of the Immortal Kingdom is overwhelming. However, neither Bai Qi nor Wang Jian made a direct move at this time. General, since we have already come here, why don't we make a move? Some generals of the Immortal Kingdom didn't understand, so they asked. Their conquests in the Fairy Kingdom have always been brave and trampled by iron cavalry, But this time they stayed here for a long time without making a move, which surprised them. The Emperor will come in person. He has just sent us a voice transmission. Let us wait for his arrival. Wang Jian explained. Bai Qi was indifferent and silent. When the general heard this, he hurriedly stepped aside without saying anything. It has been a long time since the great emperor's royal conquest, which has not happened for a long time, and now that he is about to conquest himself as soon as he came to this world, they are equally shocked in their hearts. The next moment, he fell silent and stepped back quietly. But what they didn't know was that for Ji Chang at this time, it was a kind of torture. At this time, in Zibahu's mansion, Ji Chang had a look of lovelessness. Others still don't realize that Shichi is in a desperate situation, but he has the gossip of the day after tomorrow, but he has already felt that the end is coming. But at this moment, he fell into doubts. Who are these people? They are already at the gate of the city, so why have they not acted so long? Ji Chang was puzzled. Subconsciously, he made the hexagram again. This time, there was light in his eyes, a silver lining. There was a gleam in his eyes. He didn't know what was wrong, but just now it was obviously a fatal situation, but now there is a turning point. There is a glimmer of life. But, where is this glimmer of life? He was extremely surprised. It was already certain death, but now there is a change. His eyes flickered, and he continued to deduce. But at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Want to live? Do you want to keep Shichi? The voice was relaxed and natural, as if wanting to reverse the deadlock and let Shichi survive in this vortex. It was extremely simple. Ji Chang's face changed, and he slowly raised his head, only to see a man in a strange costume. Who are you? He asked tremblingly. Being able to appear directly in front of oneself as if entering the land of no one, such an existence is definitely a strong one. Moreover, he was looking for a glimmer of life at the moment, and this person appeared in front of him, making him instantly certain in his heart that this person, that's where the vitality lies. At first, I didn't want to care about it. After all, you are willing to be God's lackeys. I am also very upset. If I choose you, I will be ridiculed by those two people. But there is no way, I have no choice, I can only let you be me here. In a game spokesperson said the person in front of him. And he is Long Batian. Long Batian took a sip of his cigar helplessly, and sat boredly on Zibahu's chair. Who are you? Ji Chang asked again. Although he was sure in his heart that this was where his vitality lay, but when he saw Long Batian's behavior, he suddenly had doubts in his heart. How does this look like a tall man? There is no such thing as an adult at all. It doesn't matter who I am, the important thing is that if I don't make a move now, you will surely die, and you Shichi will surely die. Long Batian said lightly. Let's be honest, I have no choice, so I will choose you Shichi. But if I have the means of that bastard, I can summon a fairy dynasty, and I will definitely not care about your life. Long Batian said bluntly. To him, Shichi didn't matter. But he needs a point of support. In this contest, Long Fei had already dragged him into the game, and he had no possibility of backing down. Especially this time, with the sea in it, he also wanted to see how far behind he was in front of the sea. To put it simply, it is no longer a simple question of victory or defeat, but a competition between three people. Ji Chang's face darkened, and he always felt that in the eyes of this person in front of him, he looked down on Shichi very much. Especially that line of God's lackey deeply hurt his heart. Although they were chosen by the gods, are they willing? They also have no choice. Although your excellency is very strong, your words are too harsh. Just like this Fengshen Quanji, do you think I, Shichi, have a choice? Just like you, we, Shichi, have no choice. Ji Chang said. He is also very helpless, but what can he do? Now under this world is the world of saints, and it is an era when the immortals of the three religions are rampant. Although they all have cultivation bases, in front of this kind of existence, their cultivation bases are as insignificant as ants, and they have no choice at all. Right. Just like himself, he is not in the realm of returning to the ruins now. Long Batian frowned slightly and looked at Ji Chang. Looking up and down. Long Batian looked at Ji Chang and felt his heart tremble, but he was not easy to ask questions. I want to take a good look at you. Long Batian said suddenly. What are you looking at me for? Ji Chang asked back. Look at the self-salvation of an ant. Long Batian didn't give any face, and said it directly to his face. Ji Chang was so angry that he couldn't hold back a mouthful of old blood, and sprayed it out directly. He also hated extremely in his heart, but facing Long Batian, he had nothing but helplessness. Long Batian is too strong. He seems to be able to mobilize the power of heaven and earth when he speaks, making him feel like an ant. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to live, you can submit to me. I will send masters. At that time, even if you face Long Fei's Fairyland, you don't have to be afraid. Of course, as for the people of the three religions, don't touch them. That existence, in this overall situation, there is the existence of cannon fodder. Long Batian said. Ji Chang nodded. Now that the only chance presented, he would naturally seize it. My lord, what kind of existence are you? Do you really want to save me, Shichi? Ji Chang asked again. At this moment, he no longer cared about Long Batian's humiliation. Because he was powerless to refute. Right now he has no choice at all. Long Batian is the only chance. I have no choice. In comparison, you look a little more pleasing to the eye than those so-called three religions. Long Batian said. After finishing speaking, he turned his gaze. If they want to start a war, they will start a war. But it is definitely not possible to count on you. You are in charge of calling the battle, and I am in charge of killing. A sneer appeared on the corner of Long Batian's mouth. He has always wanted to wrestle with Long Fei, and now this is his chance. He even thought that if he could kill the person Long Fei summoned, that would be perfect. Ji Chang was stunned for a moment, and finally gritted his teeth. But according to the adults, I will do what the adults say. Ji Chang has completely resigned himself to his fate. Since Long Batian is the last chance of life in his deduction, he must seize this chance. Long Batian got up slowly. In this case, let's go. I just want to meet. What is the difference between the person Long Fei called over? Given his courage, even the sea will be pulled in. Higher. Chapter 57-53. Chapter 57-53. At the same time, Shichi was above the sky. The long wait has made Bai Qi and the two of them even more murderous. But since Ying said that they would conscript in person, they naturally didn't dare to make mistakes and could only wait slowly. Are you saying that the emperor felt that something was wrong, and that's why he asked us to wait? At this moment, Wang Jian asked. Since Ying Chao escaped, their strength has also been greatly improved. As for the world in front of them, although it does not look simple, as iron-blooded immortal generals of the immortal dynasty, they have long been accustomed to killing and don't care about their opponents at all. Whoever it is, where Ying's eyes are, is the direction of their conquest. I can't figure out what the emperor is thinking, but from the present point of view, there is no need for the emperor to personally conquer, unless there is a crisis that we don't realize. Bai Qi said. How strong Ying's power is, even they don't have a clear understanding. But it is certain that above detachment, that is invincible. The world cannot be controlled, and fate cannot be involved. That is detachment. But now they are only one step away from that step, but it is a world of difference. It was also because of this that when Ying Zheng told them to wait, they would not make a move. Suddenly, while the two were talking, a figure suddenly appeared below. The figure opened the city gate and locked its eyes on the void. Everyone in the sky, since you want to attack Shichi, don't hide and show yourself. As a Zibahu, I want to see who you are and who gave you courage. Come attack me. Shichi Zibahu looked calm. The old **** was there. But in fact, he panicked. He is too clear that these people in front of him are all variables and do not belong to this world at all. This is also the result of his calculations. If it wasn't because he was convinced that Long Batian was Shichi's lifeline, he wouldn't dare to do such a thing no matter what. This is no different from courting death. Now he also has no choice but to choose to believe Long Batian's words to gain that chance of survival. Above the sky, Bai Qi and Wang Jian were also taken aback. Is it the killing intent that made him feel it? How dare this kind of trash come to fight? Bai Qi squinted his eyes, and the killing intent flashed through the void like a thunderbolt. In an instant, the entire world below was filled with frost, and the rolling killing intent made the creatures in the entire city feel cold. It was as if the end had come. Ji Chang was in an even more emotional battle, and the spirit horse under him instantly weakened his limbs, and directly threw his figure to the ground. Ji Chang got up with a look of embarrassment. Under the cover of this murderous intent, he felt sudden, and endless fear filled his heart. He turned his eyes and looked into the Hu's mansion. Now in this situation, the only chance is Long Batian, whom I saw before. If he doesn't show up again, without the other party's shot, the killing intent alone is enough to crush himself. Boom! Suddenly, a cloud of smoke drifted out from the Hu mansion. After the smoke drifted away, Bai Qi's killing intent disappeared instantly. You can't let the people behind you come, great emperor of the immortal kingdom, I want to see what level it is. Long Batian's voice was also transmitted. Above the sky, Bai Qi and Wang Jian's eyes shrank instantly. Although Long Batian's voice was calm, but being able to dispel his killing intent in an understatement is enough to prove extraordinary. What a powerful man! Bai Qi said in a deep voice. At this moment, he finally understood why he received the emperor's message. It turned out that there was something they couldn't fight against at all. It seems that the emperor has already reached this stage, but he doesn't know who this person is, who has such terrifying power. Just his breath, it seems that he has reached the step of the emperor. Is he a transcendent person in this world? King Jian asked. Bai Qi shook his head slightly. The other party has no intention of making a move, or he is just waiting for the emperor. However, he is not a detached person in this world, including the one we saw before. Although he is also detached, he has nothing to do with this world. Bai Qi said. He is stronger than Wang Jian, so the power he perceives is more profound than Wang Jian. The question is, what should we do now? This person has already provoked us. If we don't respond, won't we lose the name of our fairyland? Wang Jian asked. They fought all their lives to help Ying take the last step. The immortal kingdom has grown from scratch, and has been promoted step by step from a secular dynasty to an immortal kingdom that surpasses the heavens. It can be said that they have a strong sense of belonging to the fairyland, and the glory of the fairyland cannot be desecrated, so they already want to make a move in their hearts at this moment. This kind of existence is no longer something we can fight against. Instead of taking action, we should continue to wait. Bai Qi waved his hand, rejecting Wang Jian's proposal. Taking action under such circumstances would put the entire fairy kingdom in crisis. The power of detachment is not something they can contend with. One step away is enough to make them fall into the abyss. Want to see the widow so much? At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared. Immediately afterwards, a black dragon flickered out from the void, and finally turned into Ying's figure. This is the power he condensed when he transcended, and coming in this image at this time is to tell the heavens that this is his power. Meet the great. Following Ying's arrival, the entire immortal kingdom belonged, and at this moment they knelt down with fanaticism in their eyes. And below, Ji Chang looked at the figure in front of him and felt his scalp go numb. This kind of person is too terrifying. Another person who is outside the way of heaven. This world is crazy, or is it that the way of heaven is out of control and has allowed the outside world to come in? Ji Chang was in a state of confusion. For the first time, he already had this feeling when he saw Long Batian, and now after Ying appeared, this feeling resurfaced again. You are the great emperor of the immortal kingdom? Long Batian's voice appeared, and then, Long Batian's figure slowly came out from the depths, and within a step, he was above the void. No wonder Long Fei is such a ***** that he directly summoned a strong man from the unique realm. Long Batian sized Ying up and down in his eyes. Although he is from Earth, he doesn't know much about Ying. It can only be said that the existence of the great emperor of the immortal kingdom had not yet appeared in his era. However, the aura emanating from Ying's body shocked him, and he finally understood where Long Fei's confidence lies. There is such a person, so what if he is a little crazy? Are you the accident that Jie Yin said? Ying Fan asked. Accident? What do you mean? Long Batian asked. Jie Yin told me that Long Fei didn't want to take you with him during this time of calamity. You were just dragged here later to make up for it. Ying said lightly. Long Batian. Long Baishan's face darkened. At this moment, he felt a mass of anger burning in his heart. Make up. Fuck, Long Fei deceived people too much. I really thought I couldn't kill him. Long Batian resented. Damn it. Obviously, 3 people entered this place of origin together, so how did he just make up the numbers in the end? Chapter 57-54. Chapter 57-54. At this moment, Long Batian felt a murderous intent in his heart. This is tantamount to a great humiliation to him. Why? It's clear that he was also brought out by the sea. Now that you two are fighting, I'll make up the numbers. What angered him even more was, what is Jie Yin? I am an existence of the only realm, I have dominated the heavens, and I have been invincible for countless ages. Why do I dare to criticize myself for anything now? Ying seemed to have seen through Long Baishan's mind, and said again, you are not weak, at least you are not weaker than Long Fei. However, since Long Fei summoned Ji Yu, I still have to do it today. It just so happens that the widow is also trying to see whether it is the only strong man in this world, or my detachment method is invincible. Ying's eyes turned cold, and his fighting spirit soared. Then hit. Kill you and let Long Fei know who is invincible. Long Baishan's eyes were ruthless, and he shot directly. Boom. He punched in the air. Immediately, the sky and the earth were chaotic, and the entire sky dimmed, leaving only this fist glow. The glow of the fist roared into the sky, covering the sky and covering the sun, submerging the entire sky in a blink of an eye. And the fairy kingdom fell apart in an instant, that is, the state they were standing in the air was blasted away, and countless figures fell from the void. Ying's eyes shrank, and he couldn't help but respond with a punch. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the sky and the earth seemed to really split apart, and the turbulent flow above the sky was like turning the sky upside down. The torrent of the sky and the earth collapsed and scattered into the sky. At this moment, everything in the world is false, only the punch of the two is true. But under the absolute power of the two of them, the whole of Shichi was shaken, countless mountains and rivers collapsed, and rivers flowed upstream. It is no exaggeration to say that these are the 2 punches of Zhu Tiandi. Down below, Ji Chang didn't even respond, he didn't even have a chance to open his mouth to beg for mercy, he was directly overwhelmed by this power and turned into dust under the torrent. Of course, the entire Zibahu mansion was not spared, and it collapsed into ruins in an instant, killing all living beings. However, it is strange to say that under such terrifying power, the two of them did not harm the ordinary Li people. On the contrary, there seems to be a kind of power protecting them in the dark. You still want to protect them in your heart. If you fight like this, you are very passive. If outsiders know about this, do you think I can't get you? Long Batian said coldly. Very upset. Although he didn't use all his strength, he could feel that Ying's power was divided into 2. On the one hand, he was resisting himself, and on the other hand, he was protecting the common people. This feeling made Long Batian even more depressed. Then go fight beyond the sky, Ying said. It's just what I want. Long Batian had already ignited a real fire, without hesitation at all, with a momentary movement, his figure rose directly from the ground and flew into nothingness. Ying also followed closely without stopping. In an instant, the world fell silent. But this collapsed world still shows that a terrifying battle took place here. And just after the 2 figures disappeared, a figure suddenly appeared in the field. It was Long Fei. At this time, Long Fei held a beam of eternal lifelight with one hand, and suppressed endless magma with the other. 2 underestimated Long Batian. If I hadn't acted, you really thought you could protect these people? Long Fei said softly. He had hidden himself before. And this power is also obtained from the only burial place. It is a force that can shield the only one. Even the only realm can't perceive his existence. It can be said that since he left above nothingness before, he has used this power to hide the truth from Ying and the cause of the robbery. Although he didn't know what was going on between Ying and Jie Yin, but at this moment his heart was heavy. Intuition told him that he seemed to have missed something. Moreover, it is crucial, even related to the final victory. System, you once said that I have a chance to deduce the apocalypse, let's start now. Long Fei contacted the system. He didn't know what he had missed, but he could be sure that it was definitely related to the apocalypse. Ding, the system is starting to deduce. The system responded. In the next moment, a scene appeared in front of Long Fei. It was a catastrophe that wiped out the entire world, and billions of galaxies were reduced to dust under that power, as if everything would return to zero. And in that power, he stretched across the ages, displaying absolute power. But in the end, he was still defeated and was fused by that power. At this point, the screen has completely disappeared. But this made Long Fei's heart extremely heavy. Long Fei has always known that the apocalypse tribulation is extremely terrifying, which is why he has never deduced it. What he is afraid of is that he sees some pictures that he does not want to see, which will affect his progress. And the scene he saw now also affected his mood. Ding, this is just a scene seen by the system deduction, and it cannot be regarded as an absolute result. A lot of things will have to do with player choices. So, players don't need to affect their emotions because of such a picture. The sound of the system appeared one after another. Long Fei nodded, you're right. It's not my character to worry about others. I, Long Fei, always rely on my own feelings when doing things. Long Fei suppressed his emotions. He doesn't allow himself to give up, let alone fear. He was burdened with the expectations of many people. If he admits to being cowardly, then his relatives and brothers will have no hope at all. Thinking of this, Long Fei's eyes twitched, scattering the light of eternal life. In an instant, the dilapidated mountains and rivers also instantly restored their original appearance. Countless collapsed worlds also returned to calm. It's as if nothing ever happened here. There was only one accident, and that was that Ji Chang and Shi Qi completely sank and disappeared into the world, leaving no trace of their existence. After finishing all this, Long Fei's figure moved and went straight away. Regarding the battle between Ying and Long Batian, he also wanted to see who was stronger. In nothingness, the two figures stood facing each other. But in front of him, there are two black dragons fighting, intertwining and biting each other. The entire world erupted into thunderous thunder, and nothingness roared. These two giant dragons are boundless, and the naked eye cannot capture the whole picture. They straddle the galaxy and are extremely terrifying. And with the blending of the two, whether it is Ying or Long Batian, the expressions on their faces have changed. It is no exaggeration to say that their battle at this time has entered a state of anxiety. Although there were no earth-shattering scenes, this battle was a confrontation between the two world's most powerful beings. One detached, one unique. Both represent an absolute. And it just so happened that Long Batian was once the overlord of the dragon clan, and when Yingqiao escaped, he also condensed the body of the ancestor dragon. So there will be a collision at this time. And between the collision of these two giant dragons, there seems to be no earth-shattering scene, but in fact, this world has already been reincarnated in the destruction again and again. Chapter 57-55. Chapter 57-55. But it was covered up by the two of them. At this time, a figure appeared quietly. It was Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes were serious, without any look of contempt. He can naturally see that the universe is disillusioned between the two black dragons formed by the two. It collapsed and reorganized again and again, which was extremely frightening. After all, it is the most powerful existence in the two worlds. Long Fei sighed. He substitutes himself. Even if he fights with the two of them, he can only reach this level at most. Power has a limit, whether it is the only state or the transcendent state. As long as it reaches a certain level, it seems to have reached a certain bottleneck. And my only advantage is the power I once obtained in the only burial place. But those powers can only be said to be some special means, they still can't break the confinement of this world, can't break this bottleneck. Long Fei thought in his heart. At this moment, he fell silent, and couldn't help but think of the sea in his mind. I don't know if the power of the sea can overcome this bottleneck. If it surpasses this bottleneck and its power reaches a new level, can it destroy the apocalypse in the bud? Long Fei muttered to himself. But at this moment, the battle ahead also stopped. The two dragons returned to themselves. No one can do anything to anyone. Even if the universe collapsed and disillusioned, the two were still intact. As expected, the person Long Fei brought here has some tricks. Long Fei, you are lucky. Long Batian said, his eyes suddenly turned to look at Long Fei. I can't help it. The system helped me to do it. You are not angry. Long Fei laughed. Long Batian's expression froze, and indifference appeared on the corner of his mouth. At this moment, he had the urge to kill Long Fei. The back molars are crushed. You really deserve to die, Long Batian said bitterly. But it was useless, and the battle with Ying also made him know that the only realm is not so easy to die. No matter how upset he was, there was nothing he could do in the face of Long Fei. Come here. Long Fei carried one hand on his back, stretched out the other hand, and hooked his fingers towards Long Batian. Long Batian. Long Batian exploded instantly, his figure disappeared instantly, and punched Long Fei directly. Without even looking at it, Long Fei punched out while raising his hand. Rumble. The void is turbulent. But the turmoil disappeared in an instant, and everything returned to calm. It just has to be admitted that at that moment just now, the void of the universe here has already been destroyed once. One thought is extinguished, one thought is born. This is the power they have at this level. But neither of them intended to stop, and their figures instantly turned into two beams of light fighting in the void. The entire universe repeats between disillusionment and rebirth. Ying's eyes were locked on the two of them. He is already detached, his detached eyes can penetrate emptiness, even though the speed between Long Fei and Long Batian has surpassed time and space, they still cannot avoid his eyes. So strong. Ying whispered. After he surpassed, he didn't make a full shot. But the battle with Long Batian just now made him feel the comfort he hadn't seen for a long time. Except for the great emperor who was both his enemy and friend back then, he had never had such a battle. At this time, seeing the battle between Long Fei and him, his heart was even more moved. This is the real great world. If I can transcend this world again, my strength can go further. Besides, the fate I have transcended seems to be a level lower than Jirin. If I transcend, maybe I can participate in this ancient catastrophe. Ying Dandan said. Back then, he surpassed his fate and wanted everyone to be like a dragon. This time, he wants to transcend the cause of calamity, and what he wants is destruction. Thinking in his heart, he gradually calmed down. As for the battle between the two, he did not intervene. Anyway, neither of them can do anything to the other. At their level, if they want to put the other party to death, it is only possible if they try their best to drop their own cultivation base. Do it. But he could also see that Long Fei and Long Batian had no intention of killing each other, so he didn't care about it at all, just watched calmly, waiting for the two to end. After a few breaths, the figures of the two returned. Glare. There was no contempt in Long Fei's eyes. I'll let you know that even if you started this competition, I definitely didn't make up the numbers. The final winner will not be Dahai, let alone you. Long Batian said. After speaking, his figure gradually disappeared. Long Fei watched calmly, but there was a fighting spirit in his eyes. Although it was said that Long Batian was brought in on a temporary basis, but at this moment, he has become serious. It can be said that Long Batian has explained everything with his own strength. What kind of whole card does he control, and dare to speak wild words in the face of Ying? Long Fei's heart sank. Something is wrong. Although Long Batian is unreliable, his vision is here. If there were no prerequisites, it would be absolutely impossible to say such a thing. Even, the support in his hands is stronger than Ying. Thinking of this, his eyes darkened. No need to think too much, no matter who you are competing with, the detachment of this side of the world must be me. Ying seemed to see through what Long Fei was thinking, and said hastily, Are you so confident? Long Batian is not an easy old bastard. Although I don't know what kind of support he has, but if he dares to say that, he must have the means to control some things. Long Fei said. The shadow of Long Batian has appeared countless times in his life, so he knows Long Batian very well. This guy is definitely a conspirator. Although he loves to pretend to be aggressive, he often does things impeccably, taking everything into account. So at the moment when he said such words, Long Fei absolutely did not believe that he was aimless. It's my belief. Since I'm here, I must do it. Ying said slowly, but his eyes were filled with the dominance of a generation of emperors, and I am invincible. As long as you have confidence, then do it. I, Long Fei, will be strong all my life, and I have never been cowardly. Long Fei was overwhelmed by Ying's aura, and he was certain in his eyes. Okay, it's better to hit the sun than choose the day, then directly attack Lutai. Ying said. Long Fei. Is it so cruel? The beginning is the end. This amount of calamity has not yet started, and the two sides have not fought a fight, so will the decisive battle start directly? Moreover, this wealthy merchant is the handiwork of Dahai. Dahai is more mature than Long Batian. In a sense, both himself and Long Batian were brought out by Dahai, so even if Dahai made a slight move, Long Fei would not take it lightly. Soldiers are precious and fast. I have no interest in fighting against them. Besides, Yin Shong is just the beginning. This god-confiscating calamity will only be considered a real calamity if a group of gods die. Ying explained lightly, and walked away. But following his movement, Long Fei suddenly felt that the whole world was surging, and the cloud of calamity instantly enveloped the world. Fuck me, can he affect Quan Jie? He just has some agreement with Jie Yin, why can he do this? Long Fei was shocked, seeing this scene, even he felt a sudden tremor in his heart. He always thought that when he came to this world, he was the core of the calamity. But now it seems that Win is the one. Chapter 57-56. Chapter 57-56 Yin Shong, Chaoga. Di Xingao sat on top of the main hall. Naturally, he was no longer the original Emperor Xin, and naturally there was no such thing as a tyrant. On the contrary, since the crossing, he has worked hard to change his destiny. But he also knew that the enemies he was facing now were no longer the three sects of this world of gods. Your Majesty, there have been frequent phenomena of heaven and earth recently, and the old minister is afraid that it may be caused by Avilders. In the court hall, Wen Zhong stood up. Di Xin nodded lightly. The Grand Master is right. There are indeed many Avilders in this world. If the widows can't perceive Shichi now, Shichi must have been destroyed by those people. Dixin said softly. But everyone in the court looked at each other in blank dismay. About Shichi, the world is far away, even if they don't have any perception, why Di Xin can say it out at this moment. Being a king alone is the lord of this earth. Although the immortal gods are terrific, this is my world, so naturally I can't hide it from the perception of the widows. Di Xin continued. If Long Fei was here, he would definitely be shocked. A person who has time-traveled will call himself a king, and from his words, it can be seen that he is very familiar with Fengshen Liang Jie. Most of these traits also come from the earth. And as Di Xin's voice fell, the faces of everyone in the field changed drastically. But Wen Zhong's eyes were full of relief. He had protected the 3 generations of the Great Shong, and now seeing Di Xin's domineering spirit, he was naturally very pleased. Your Majesty, the old minister will go and see for himself. I want to see who is so evil that he dares to make trouble under my Da Shong rule. Grand Master, carrying the kingdom of great merchants Yun Blessing, although he has long since left the teaching, but his strength can still crush 3 generations of disciples. You don't have to take this matter too seriously, the Grand Master. None of you can get involved in this matter. This is a duel between the real powerhouses. Di Xin waved his hand and said. When Wen Zhong heard this, his face changed slightly. It doesn't feel right. In the past, Di Xin regarded himself as the asterisk of the town, but now he showed deep disdain. What's going on? With this in mind, Wen Zhong quietly opened his sky eyes and scanned Di Xin in front of him. Di Xin seemed to be aware of it too, and his eyes fell directly on Wen Zhong. Grand Master, don't look at it, I'm all right. Di Xin was very natural, as if he had already thought about today, but he didn't care at all. Wen Zhong's sky eye has already scanned Di Xin's body up and down. But nothing was seen at all. It's just that the changes in Di Xin's body at this time still made him unable to calm down. But he couldn't see anything wrong. Even if he had a problem in his heart, he could only suppress it. Everyone, let's go out with the widow to meet the enemy. When Taisha hadn't calmed down yet, when Di Xin's voice appeared again, everyone in the court hall was shocked. Meet the enemy? How can a well-behaved person meet the enemy? Everyone's faces were uncertain, full of surprises. But at this time, Di Xin ignored everyone's doubts, got up slowly, and walked out of the hall. When Taisha and others followed closely behind. Although full of doubts, but now that their king has gone out in person, they naturally cannot be calm. Soon, everyone followed in Di Xin's footsteps and boarded the deer platform. The construction of the lutai had nothing to do with Deji this time, but it existed naturally, and it existed before Long Fei came to this world. The figures of dozens of people followed closely behind Di Xin, looking into the distance from the deer platform. At this time, everyone was full of doubts. Although they could also feel some changes, including that Shichi had gone wrong now, they still didn't think that anyone would dare to directly come to Chaoga to make trouble. After all, this is the royal court of the human race and the place where the luck of the human race gathers. Here, even a saint would not dare to make a move easily. Your Majesty, what's going on? Grand Master Wen stepped forward and asked. Here, only he has the qualifications to say this sentence. Someone is doing something. There is no way. In a place where the power of the human race cannot touch, a new force has appeared, named Daqin. Today, the Emperor of Daqin will lead his people here. Di Xin said lightly. If Long Fei heard Di Xin's answer at this time, he would definitely be shocked. This was something that Ying temporarily decided on his own initiative, but now Di Xin was able to explain it clearly, which is really strange. At this time, Di Xin's words also made everyone's hearts sink suddenly. Especially at this time, Grand Master Wen's face became more ferocious. Arrogant, this world is my great business orthodoxy, who dares to create a new dynasty? He was furious. For Yin Shong, he has an absolute sense of belonging. Over the years, it was also because of him guarding Das Hang that the quartet did not dare to offend. But I didn't expect that now they would call directly at the door. Di Xin smiled lightly. He is no longer the original Di Xin. When he first traveled through Chengdishin, he was also afraid. But with the continuous development of the system, he now has good abilities. And his system is called Human Overlord System. With this system, he, as the king of the world, can mobilize the existence of kings and emperors that existed in this world. Not only that, he can also possess the opponent's ability. And he himself, in the rapid evolution of the system, has reached an unbelievable level. It was also because of this that he had the confidence to stand here at this moment, waiting for the decisive battle. Long Fei, interesting. The system says that you were cultivated by the person who created the system. To a certain extent, I am too. I just don't know whether you are stronger than me. Perhaps, I can know in your body. What is people brought me into this world? Di Xin thought in his heart, and gradually there was hope in his eyes. And at this moment, above the void, light and darkness suddenly intersected. The entire sky suddenly became dark. The army is under pressure. For a moment, in the entire Chaoga city, countless creatures looked at the void. Panicked. On the deer platform, Di Xin also raised his head abruptly, and a purple light burst out from his eyes, as if piercing through nothingness. Above the void, Ying's footsteps also stopped. Behind him, the army of Immortal Kingdom also stopped immediately. Another detachment. No, it's not detachment, it's a different kind of detachment, such a powerful force of national destiny. Ying gave a faint sound. Before he came, he had already sensed the breath from Di Xin. For a moment, he was also full of astonishment. He thought that meeting Long Batian before was already an accident, and it is impossible for such a strong man to appear again in this world. But now, he realized that this conferred god calamity is much more terrifying than he imagined. Even his battle against Lutai this time may not have a result. It seems that whether it is Long Fei or the people behind Long Fei, they all want to magnify this calamity infinitely. It seems that they also know Long Fei's true identity. Ying said lightly, looking down. It is also a response to look down on domineering. Chapter 57:57. Chapter 57:57. No matter what, now that he has come here, Ying will naturally not return without success. Especially at this time when Di Xin was fighting, it was even more impossible for him to escape without a fight. The eyes of the two supreme masters who do not belong to the conferred god world met at this moment. Win. Great Emperor of the Immortal Kingdom, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Di Xin said slowly. But this sound is like a hong zhong, roaring between heaven and earth. Above the void, Ying frowned slightly. He never expected that the other party could call him by his name directly, which meant that the other party knew his origin. To be called lonely in front of me, do you have the qualifications? Ying Fan asked. Since he was an enemy, there was nothing to care about, and Ying naturally assumed a tough stance. Oh, you have to be clear. I am now the master of the great merchants. The world, the mountains and rivers, are all my world. But in the world of my widow, you are the foreigner. Di Xin confronted each other. It has to be said that the courage he displayed at this time is also unparalleled, showing the domineering king of the king to the fullest. Although Wen Zhong and other high-ranking officials in the court were full of surprises, they didn't understand where the enemy in front of them came from, and they were even more puzzled as to why Di Xin knew the details of the opponent. But when Di Xin said those words, they felt awe in their hearts. Any doubts are gone. This is their king, dare to boast in the world, unprecedented in eternity. Even the 3 emperors and 5 emperors may not have such courage. In the void, Ying's face was expressionless. He was indifferent to Di Xin's response, and would not be moved by his words at all. Moreover, at their level, things like emotions have long been like passing clouds, and Dao Xin has long been as hard as stone, and it is not something that can be easily disturbed by any force. Of course, the same is true for Di Xin. It seems that Long Fei miscalculated many things. The Emperor Xin in front of him is clearly a detached person. Ying thought slightly in his heart. Ying knew about Di Xin, but what he learned from Long Fei was that Di Xin was no longer the original Di Xin, but a spokesperson who was pulled over by a man named Da Hai from unknown time and space. Seeing Long Fei's contemptuous attitude, he thought it was just an ordinary existence. Now it looks like a big mistake. It's my preconceived ideas. For so many years, after I have transcended, I rarely feel a sense of crisis. This also makes me no longer have the awe of the power in this world. Ying pondered in his heart, feeling something. But things have come to this point, it is impossible to go away. They have already come here. If they turn around and retreat, it is tantamount to a defeat. And a detachment is naturally not allowed. Thinking of this, he looked at Di Xin. I have a method, which I obtained after I transcended. Really? I also have a method, which I realized after I became a king. Di Xin responded. As the two confronted each other, the whole world began to change, and the whole world began to change. It seemed that two wills were colliding in nothingness. At this moment, everyone in the field changed expression. Not just Wen Zhong and the others, even the soldiers of the Immortal Kingdom, with emotions on their faces, dignified and depressed. Even Bai Qi and Wang Jian, the two supreme beings of the Immortal Kingdom, looked solemn at the moment. Then let's fight, Ying said. Then let's fight. Di Xin responded. In the next moment, the eyes of the two directly collided in the void. At the moment of the collision, the picture in front of the two of them changed instantly, as if everything had disappeared. The surrounding pictures seemed to be in a state of flow, constantly changing, whistling between the sky and the earth, never stopping. Moreover, it is a state of acceleration, which makes people confused. And between Ying and Di Xin, there is no distinction between heaven and earth. They look at each other as equals and stare at each other. This method, All living beings are like dragons. Ying opened his mouth, his eyes were like eternal pupils, shining through the world. My law, the power of the celebrity king. Dishin responded. As soon as the words fell, the figures of the two moved at the same time. Ying raised his hands, and countless strange scenes appeared around the nothingness, and countless creatures came murmuring. And with the mighty sound, countless lights gathered in the void, and finally condensed into a black dragon. In the next moment, the black dragon coiled down, circled around Ying, and then disappeared in an instant, flying directly into Ying's body, and in the next moment, Ying punched out. Similarly, Dishin was not idle while Ying was using this terrifying method. His eyes seemed to travel across eternity, and images from countless years ago appeared behind him. The 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors worked hard and forged ahead. The sun, the moon, and the sky quenched the human race, and it lasted for a long time. Those scenes seemed to be like the flow of history, constantly changing. But in the end, the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors shot at the same time, and one after another of terrifying power turned into immortal light and poured into Dishin's body. In other words, Dishin at this time carried the fusion of all the powerful human beings in the history of the human race. In the next moment, Dishin also punched the void. Boom, boom, boom. The strength of the two erupted almost at the same time, and they collided together in nothingness. And at this time on the endless sea of blood, Long Fei fell into silence. System, something is wrong. I always feel something is wrong. Long Fei said. After returning from Shichi, Long Fei's feeling became more and more intense. It is clear that this time the 3-person competition was initiated by himself. But now it seems that is not the case at all. It seems that Long Batian seems to be more **** than himself. System. The system didn't respond. Although it jumped a bit, it remained silent. System, talk, you're so silent, I'm so flustered. System. Long Fei's manner of speaking was very distasteful to Long Fei. You know, according to Long Fei's habit, it is absolutely impossible to say such words. To be indifferent to life and death, to do it if you don't accept it, this is Long Fei's personality. How can he be so hypocritical? It's just that now Long Fei rarely showed melancholy, as if he was caught in a mystery. System, to be frank, do you know the whole cards of Long Batian and Hai Hai, so you created a system to summon Lai Ying? Long Fei continued to ask. The initial excitement was gone. When the system was successfully created, he summoned Ying over, thinking that his round was already settled, and he would just lay down and win. Hands in pockets, no opponent. It can be seen that Long Batian's arrogant appearance made Long Fei wake up instantly. Not at all. Long Batian is too arrogant, as if he has an absolute trump card. Even Long Batian is like this, so the sea will be normal? Impossible. Especially at this time, he felt that Ying's conquest of Lutai might not fail, but he would definitely not succeed either. Ding, the player is thinking too much. The system finally responded, but it was neither salty nor light, and it was useless. Ding, the system suggests that players are completely unfounded. You have to have confidence in the great emperor of the immortal kingdom. Don't forget, he is not only the great emperor of the immortal kingdom, he also controls the system. The system responded. Long Fei sneered. Don't put gold on your face. At this level, is the system useful? The real high-end game is a test of personal combat power, which is definitely not ordinary power. Long Fei said. These words are not alarmist, a unique, if desired, can end the war in seconds. Chapter 57-58. Chapter 57-58. He tried his best to maximize the calamity of the divine power, just to devour the cause of the calamity and find a way to disintegrate the calamity of the apocalypse. But now, he felt a little out of control, a little out of his control. Now, it is no longer a question of how many gods died. Instead, the battle has been upgraded, and it has directly been promoted to the only level. Although Long Fei thought that he would be robbed from the very beginning, he didn't think so soon. The system fell silent. He didn't deny what Long Fei said. Because it is. At the level of Long Fei, The contest between them is no longer a matter of quantity, but absolute combat power is the root that affects everything. Ding, the system can be upgraded to make the Emperor of the Immortal Kingdom system stronger. After a while, the system responded. What's the point? Can you beat the only one? Long Fei said angrily. System. Ding, players don't think too much, there are so many uniques. There are many places of origin. Wait. Long Fei said casually, but just after he finished speaking, the expression on his face suddenly changed. At this moment, he finally knew where the uneasiness in his heart came from. The place of origin. Correct. Previously, Long Batian went directly to the place of origin, but this time, a lot of them fell away, as if they were winning. That is to say, his whole card is the land of origin, even the only one in the land of origin. As soon as this idea came out, Long Fei himself was startled. It's too scary. That is to say, the conferred god quantity tribulation in this world is no longer a simple competition between the three, but even the place of origin has been added to it. Fuck me, Long Batian played too hard, you dog, he actually pulled the place of origin into it. Long Fei burst into a rage instantly. He wanted to maximize the power of the conferred god, but he didn't think about seeking abuse. He has walked all the way, and he has not gone deep into the place of origin until now, because the place of origin is too mysterious and controls many unknown powers. But now it's a good thing, Long Batian actually pulled them in directly. Ding, the player's analysis makes sense. The system will go into a deep sleep and won't wake up for the time being. I wish the player a pleasant journey and a good result. Just as Long Fei was falling into anger, the system's voice reappeared. And this time it was even more direct, directly shutting down and running away. When Long Fei heard this, his eyes were burning with anger. Sure enough, the dog system will not change its nature, and will run away when something happens. System, I may not be a human, but you are a real dog, Long Fei said angrily. But this time, the system didn't respond at all. In other words, the system ran more simply this time than in the Eternal Land. There is only one possibility. That is, the crisis here is more ferocious than in Eternal Land. There was nowhere to vent the anger in Long Fei's heart. Thinking of the changes before and after the system, Long Fei felt that he was too optimistic and shouldn't put his hopes on the system. Damn me, wrestling with existences like Dahai and Long Batian, how can I put my trust in the system? I'm asking for my own death. Long Fei couldn't complain, and the system's running away was the best proof. But Long Fei also knew that the matter had come to this point and there was no room for maneuver. Fighting is definitely necessary, but the next road, you can only rely on yourself. Everything still has to wait for Ying to return. If Ying loses, it proves that this conferred god quantity tribulation has been completely messed up. Long Fei thought to himself. For the first time, his expression turned serious. Intuition told him that if he wins this conquest, he will lose. Time passed, and the day passed in a blink of an eye. In the middle, Long Fei couldn't help but want to release his divine thoughts a few times, and flew towards Chowga to see the battle situation. But finally endured it. No news is good news, at least it is an expectation. It's just that after 3 days in a row, Ying didn't come back, but another person appeared on the Sea of Darkness. What is she here for? No, why do I have the urge to take her in? A figure appeared in the void. It was the Nuer that Long Fei saw when he first came to this world. It's just that Nuer's appearance this time gave Long Fei a different feeling. The more you look at it, the more pleasing to the eye. At the beginning, I just thought that Nuer's temperament was extraordinary, but now I feel so wow, it's all because of hormones, a primitive impulse is faintly at work. What's wrong, logically speaking, it shouldn't be like this. Long Fei felt vigilant in his heart. This is not right. Subconsciously, Long Fei's eyes flickered and locked on Nuer's body. In an instant, a red line came into Long Fei's eyes. Red one leads. Long Fei was dumbfounded. When did you draw a red line between yourself and Nuer? This was completely beyond his expectations, and he and NUWA hadn't had much contact, so how could it be so good that there was a red line between the two of them? This unscientific. With a thought, his figure flashed, and he came directly to the void. Nua seemed to have guessed that Long Fei would come out a long time ago, and she didn't appear too surprised. I really didn't expect that your origin would be so mysterious that you could stir up the conferred god quantity tribulation. Nua said softly. Her attitude was a complete turn of a few 100 degrees compared to before. It was not the same thing at all. When they met for the first time, she was extremely afraid of Long Fei, but now she seems to be a confidant. This change made Long Fei feel very uncomfortable. Let's not talk about that first. Can you explain what's going on with the red line? If I'm not wrong, you should be in control of the marriages in this world, right? So, you drew the red line yourself? Long Fei asked Road. He tried to tear it apart, but it didn't work at all. This was the root cause of his displeasure. Long Fei wanted it, so why bother with the red line? So the appearance of this red line is more like a constraint to Long Fei. This is the root cause of his displeasure. No, I don't know what's going on. It's just that since I saw you last time, I found a red thread. But this is not something I can control, it's more like the movement of the red Luan star. Nua said, talking on the face there was a blush, and teasing in his eyes, as if he didn't dare to look at Long Fei. Long Fei, please, you are a sage of heaven, is it really appropriate for you to pose like a little woman now? However, Nua in this state moved Long Fei even more. Sure enough, no one can refuse a woman who can act like a baby. The red Luan star is moving. Long Fei wondered inwardly. Nua's eyes moved slightly, and she nodded slightly. Which one is red Luan star? I will kill him. Long Fei continued. Nua. At this moment, she was confused and felt that she had been humiliated. How unbearable he was. Long Fei actually wanted to collapse Hong Luanxing, and he didn't even want to be with him. Chapter 57-59. Chapter 57-59. Naturally, this matter was left alone. It seemed that even the stars in the sky were afraid of Long Fei. After Long Fei said these words, the night fell silent and all the stars in the sky disappeared without a trace. Long Fei was amazed. It's boring. Nua was even more ashamed and angry, feeling that she was humiliating herself by coming here, so she turned around and was about to leave. But he was stopped by Long Fei. The jokes are all delivered to your door, how can you keep them out? Non-existent. When it comes to flying dragons, they naturally have to face each other, and they are absolutely submissive. But what surprised him was that Nua didn't resist, and with half a push, the two had sex. Of course, Long Fei used some methods to wrap the two of them together. But this power cannot be hidden from the two people under the sea of blood. Naturally, it is Tianxin and Qingying. This bastard, you're still here and he's still messing around. Tian couldn't help it, it was absolutely unfair to Qingying. It's normal. It's not like you haven't heard about him from Haiku. His confidant can't be counted with two hands. Qingying chuckled. It seemed that he would not be angry about this kind of thing, and he was often with Long Fei these days, so he naturally knew how strong Long Fei was, and now she had someone to share the burden for her, and she was happy to see the result. Then Mrs. Aren't you jealous? Tianxin asked with her head tilted. I can't eat it. Besides, I don't think he is a sentimental person. Since what he decides, there must be his deep meaning. Qingying said. If Long Fei knew what Qingying was thinking, he would definitely call out his bosom friend, give me a dozen of such daughter-in-laws. Time goes by. When Long Fei and Nua reappeared, they were already in the sea of blood. But at this time, Nuwa was extremely awkward and unnatural, as if she had been hit by some heavenly stick. She tried to use the law of heaven to alleviate it, but in the end it was useless, so she could only curse Long Fei in her heart. Long Fei just laughed. In fact, he didn't know what was going on. Since the last time Dahai used some small tricks, there was a little change. Although he was still alive and well, his woman was closer to ordinary people, which gave Long Fei a different experience. Niang, you said that the 3 emperors of Huayun Cave have deduced something and want to see me? Long Fei asked. Empress, naturally it is Nua. Of course, this was something Long Fei had to agree to in order to compensate Nua. That's right. Although the three emperors had to retreat because of the shackles of the power of the heavens, they still held the human race in their hearts. Now that you have come and disrupted the God-conferred tribulation, it has given them a hope, a way for the human race to be able to reunite, to reproduce the glory of the year and become the hope of the Lord of the world. Nuwa said. Although Nuwa is also a sage of the monster race, from this point of view, she still cares about the human race very much. At least it was different from the world of conferred gods that Long Fei knew. In that world, the human race was completely reduced to pawns. The era of the rule of heaven and man has completely become the gods. But it's different here. Among other things, it can be seen from the relationship between Nuwa and the three emperors. Long Fei pondered slightly. To be honest, he didn't really care. This high-end game is no longer something everyone can play, and some people are not worthy of entering the game at all. It can be said that this time when the three of them confront each other, the sages of heaven and Tao are all cannon fodder, and the people of the three religions are even more like ants. So he didn't care much about Nuwa's words. What Nuwa said might be true, but Long Fei didn't have much hope. The power of the three emperors may not be weak, but they are still under the law of heaven after all. But the way of heaven, in front of the Only One, is nothing but scum. The Only One is the existence beyond the way of heaven. Not to mention Ying, it's just the three of them who came here from one side after another. Although the world in front of them has a higher personality, it is only one world after all, and its level is not much different from the supreme world. Seeing Long Fei's lack of interest, Nuwa's face also showed a bit of anger. What is this? Came here from a long distance, talked to him about a few times of cooperation with hundreds of millions, and then turned his face and refused to recognize him. So disrespectful? Me. Nuwa snorted coldly, and remained silent. Long Fei laughed lightly. Don't be angry, you may not know anything about the unique realm. Long Fei explained. In the only game, although the existence of the three emperors is not low, they are not qualified to enter the game after all. I know you are powerful, but you are not omniscient and omnipotent. The power possessed by the three emperors is the essence of the human race. Nuwa said. She knew that Long Fei didn't believe her words. After all, at Long Fei's level, he was too powerful, and he could control the world with a single thought. But she is also extremely confident in what the three emperors control. Human essence. Long Fei's eyes changed. Preconceived thinking made him have reservations about Nuwa's words, and he was not moved until now when he heard that the three emperors controlled the essence of the human race. There is not much difference between him and Dahai Long Batian in essence, except that Long Batian may involve the power of the place of origin. They are basically on the same starting line. If you want to win by surprise, you must naturally control the power that the opponent has never controlled. Tell me, what kind of power they control? Long Fei asked. You should know that the emergence of the human race is because of me. I, the mother of the human race, created the human race. Nuwa said. Long Fei nodded. This is well known. Even in her original world, Nuwa created man. This is a myth that has been handed down. Although the overall level of this world is a bit higher, the overall structure is not different. But this is not the truth. The fact is that we discovered the power to create civilization, and that's why the human race was born. Nuwa continued. Create civilization? Long Fei's expression darkened. Inexplicably, I thought of it before. From entering the place of origin, he witnessed the birth of the galaxy universe, from scratch, to prosperity, to decay. His intuition told him that there must be something involved. For example, in the very beginning of the prehistoric world, it was also in an embryonic state. It was because of the emergence of many civilizations that the prehistoric world prospered. Yes, it is the creation of civilization, and it is also because of this that I was able to start it, and the human race was born, and it is also because of this merit that I was able to become a saint. My elder brother Fushi also felt the power from it, and was able to become the first generation emperor. Nuwa said. Long Fei's face became serious. In other words, myths and legends do not exist. There is no making man out of clay, and nothing bestowed by God. Rather, this civilization already exists, but it is waiting for someone to open it. Then what kind of existence is this creation civilization? Long Fei continued to ask. He felt like he was grabbing something. I can't say it, but it must have something to do with the place of origin. It's like a human memory seal, it's a stored power that just waits for someone to open it. Nua said. The stone was shocked, and the words were amazing. Long Fei also thumped in his heart. He looked at Nua suddenly, his eyes flickering, as if doubting the truth of what he said. Isn't it incredible? This is a secret that has never been passed down from ancient times. No one knows except me and the 3 emperors. Nua said with a dignified expression. But this expression made Long Fei feel even more unbelievable, full of disbelief. Chapter 5760. Chapter 5760. This concept breaks cognition. Long Fei was deeply silent. All along, he has never considered in this direction. If what Nua said is true, then many things can be inferred from one instance, and human civilization was opened by Nua, then before that, the civilization carried by the prehistoric world before the several calamities, isn't it also the same? Exist, is also to be discovered by someone, and then to open it. Long Fei thought in his heart. Gasp! The thought startled even him. He had seen the evolution of the stars along the way, but he thought it was an inevitable product of the passage of time, but seeing Nua today, he realized that he took it for granted. More importantly, if the civilizations of the heavens reason with this logic, what about the calamity? What about the apocalypse? The more I think about it, the more scared I become. Can't be calm anymore. Long Fei got up suddenly. You discovered the human civilization back then, so where is that place? Long Fei asked. This is a key. Many things are still unclear, and only by being there can you see more. It's in Huayun Cave. Nua said. There was also a smile on the corner of her mouth, and now Long Fei's reaction also showed that she had guessed well. At this time Long Fei was also moved. Then what are you waiting for? Daughter-in-law, let's go see uncle. Long Fei said briskly, unwilling to wait a minute longer. The corner of Nua's mouth was smiling. Who didn't look interested just now? Have it. Who? You must have read it wrong. As we all know, I, Long Fei, are the most affectionate in the heavens. You are my people, and they are my family. How can they be trapped in Huayun Cave? I won't allow it. Long Fei was filled with righteous indignation. Nua. Nuwa also never expected that she could see such a side of Long Fei. After a while, the two disappeared without a trace. Chowga, on the deer platform. In nothingness, the army of Immortal Kingdom remained motionless. The wealthy merchants on the deer platform were also trembling. It's been 3 days. The two have been fighting for 3 days. They never thought that their king could be so awesome. Of course, the one who touched me the most was naturally Wenzhong. Wenzhong felt bad all over. He knows Di Xin best. Although Di Xin used to be born with supernatural power, his natural supernatural power is far from invincible. What is this now? He didn't know what kind of existence Ying was, but standing here with his acceptance, one look made her feel like facing an abyss. Especially the leaders Bai Qi and Wang Jian made him feel even more afraid. The two are like 2 killing gods, possessing infinite and terrifying power. He even had a feeling that if the two of them made a move, maybe one look could make him sink into the killing field and die in the killing intent. This is the majesty of the absolute strong. But this kind of person is just the general of that person, who bows down to him and is extremely awed. To what extent will that person be terrified? Cannot imagine. But what shocked him even more was that his king was able to fight this kind of existence for days and nights. Is this reasonable? Not scientific at all. However, the only thing that comforted him was that Di Xin's sudden change gave him an absolute protection for the Yin and Shang dynasties. Combat power is fundamental. Especially in this prehistoric world, strength is the foundation of all right to speak. That's good too. Many immortals and sages of heaven and heaven are conspiring against the human race. Since the king has this kind of means, he can protect my Shang dynasty. No matter who he is, he will be the king in the future. Wen Zhong also gave up, silently accepting the identity of Di Xin in his heart. The great changes in the world have come, and the current Shang dynasty needs an invincible king. Boom! Suddenly, the sky and the earth roared. Two figures descended from the void. It was Di Xin and Ying. At this moment, the two couldn't see any changes, and each returned to their own camp. Walk. Ying turned and left. Although Bai Qi and Wang Jian did not dare to disobey, although they were wondering why they left suddenly now, they would not disobey Ying's order in any way. Soon, the figures of the people began to recede, and in an instant the sky over Yinshong was clear again. Congratulations to the king for returning with a great victory. Your Majesty is such a good means. With His Majesty here, our Yinshang foundation will last forever. Your Majesty is worthy of being the king of men. Di Xin looked at the crowd indifferently, without saying a word. In silence. Go back to the palace. After a while, he spoke. Everyone's faces were still filled with excitement. They only saw Di Xin's bravery. He was already able to be tough with those immortals, but they didn't pay attention to Di Xin's expression at this time. Only Wen Zhong felt something was wrong at this moment. The former Di Xin Wang was invincible, as he said. He is the king of the world, the universe. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers are all in his pocket. But at the moment when he returned from the first battle, he was silent. But he knew it was inappropriate to say anything now. Di Xin didn't keep everyone, and directly announced his resignation, and asked everyone to go back first, but Wen Zhong stayed. My lord, what is the result of this battle? Wen Zhong asked. I underestimated him. Di Xin said frankly. Wen Zhong's face darkened, and he took a breath in his heart. Sure enough. He had already guessed this result from Di Xin's appearance before, but now that he said it from Di Xin's mouth, it shocked him even more. The widow thinks that the means I have now, except for that one, even the sage of the heavenly way has absolute means to suppress the other party. But I didn't expect that the power controlled by this legendary existence is no weaker than me. Dixin said. Even at this moment when he opened his mouth, he had already lowered his posture. Of course, this is also the recognition of Wen Zhong. In other words, he never thought of hiding Wen Zhong. After all, Wen Zhong is to Yin Shang, and the veteran of the three dynasties, such a person must first recognize his existence, so that it will be more convenient for him to rule Yin Shang. Your Majesty's power is so strong now, can't he suppress that person? Wen Zhong asked tentatively. He can't believe it. Di Xin's strength is not only superficial, but also the body of a king. The word human king represents the Lord of the world, the king who can stand against the gods. Even the sages of heaven have to stay away. This kind of power is invincible. But even so, he still failed to suppress the intruder. Your Majesty, what kind of existence is that? Wen Zhong asked, feeling infinitely terrified in his heart, feeling that now Yin Shang has fallen into a precarious situation. A character in myths and legends, but it's not unusual. It makes sense to appear here. Di Xin pondered slightly, then said. Yes, he is also from the earth. Moreover, he is a senior social animal, and he is deeply involved in online novels. He wants to replace the protagonist and kill the quartet. Naturally, he knows the famous emperor of the Immortal Kingdom. Originally, when he first crossed over, he thought it was the highlight of his life. I am completely the protagonist. System, the last emperor. The symbol of everything is the protagonist. But at this moment he realized that he was just a pawn. It is a chess piece derived from the competition between the three of Long Fei. But thinking that the great emperor of the Immortal Kingdom is just like himself, a pawn, he suddenly felt better. It's difficult, because the heavens' tribulation, this chess piece is not easy to play. Forget it, I'd better be a social animal. This kind of high-end game is not suitable for me. Well, it seems that Deji has already entered the palace. Although she is not a nine-tailed fox, she is still a first-class beauty. Hey, there is a saying that fate is like rape, if you can't resist, then enjoy it. Chapter 5761. Chapter 5761. When Zhong looked at Di Xin, who was in silence and said nothing, and the whole person fell into silence. Of course, at this time, he thought that Di Xin was worried about the big business, and he recognized Di Xin even more in his heart. It's just that he didn't know that at this moment, the savior of Dashang was in his eyes, and he was thinking about how to play tricks. Outside the fire cloud cave. Looking at the cave in front of him, Long Fei stopped walking. Inexplicable heart palpitations. This feeling has not appeared in his heart for a long time. But now, the moment he landed outside Huayun Cave, this feeling lingered. Grass, is there any terrifying power here? Can it hurt me? Long Fei's heart was greatly moved. This feeling is too inexplicable. I haven't had this feeling for a long time. He crosses the heavens, sweeps the heavens and the earth, and no one in the supreme world poses any threat to him. He is the only one. The only existence among the galaxies. It is not too much to say that this kind of strength is immortal. But now it feels like this. What's wrong with you? Nuwa saw that something was wrong with Long Fei and asked. I don't know, I just feel uncomfortable, as if I dare not face the things here. Long Fei said. How is it possible? Nuwa turned pale with shock. He is very clear about Long Fei's strength. She is a saint, and she can clearly perceive Long Fei's power over a saint. But she was a frequent visitor to Huayun Cave, and she never felt anything was wrong, so now Long Fei felt strange. She said it was hard to believe. I can't put it into words, but it's not the palpitation of the sense of crisis, but a very strange feeling, as if I'm trying to avoid it in my heart. Long Fei said. He doesn't know what's in here. But it seems that there is something here that he doesn't want to face and wants to avoid. Could it be that you are overthinking it? Although this is the place where human civilization was discovered, I didn't perceive anything. Nuwa said. Long Fei's expression was so serious that she couldn't help but think about it. I hope. Long Fei said lightly. Can't tell. There seemed to be an inexplicable voice telling him not to approach. This feeling made Long Fei very unhappy. He thought he had grasped some key factor and wanted to ask for proof. But now he had this feeling again, which made him hesitate. What's wrong? Why do you feel this way? Could it be that the human civilization had something to do with me? Long Fei's heart was shaken. Thinking of this possibility, his eyes darkened. Impossible, I have never been here before, this is absolutely certain, and this world is in the place of origin, and the standard for entering the place of origin is the only realm. I have definitely never been here before. Long Fei was full of thoughts and denied his guess. System, don't pretend to be dead, be a person, tell me what's going on? Long Fei asked. The system is not responding. Long Fei's teeth itch in anger. This dog is getting more and more tortured, and sooner or later he will be killed. But it's useless to worry about it now. Since we have come to Huayun Cave, we must go in. Inside Huayun Cave, 3 figures were also looking outside. The moment Long Fei appeared, the expressions on the faces of the 3 of them became solemn. Do not look directly. Is this the realm above the saint? Above the way of heaven? This breath is really terrifying. Yeah, I really didn't expect that our lifeline would be on him. Fushi, have you made a mistake? Will this kind of existence really help us? Several people sighed with emotion. But behind them, the eyes of the 2 fell on Fushi. There is no mistake. The power I deduced is like this. Our way out lies in him. My innate power of gossip has evolved, and now it can be said to be the law of prophecy. I once watched the future. The future of this world is blurred, but the only thing that is clearly visible is his figure. No mistake, it must be him. The figure I saw was him. Fushi was extremely excited. As his cultivation became stronger and stronger, his wait and see for the future became more and more clear. It's a dead end. Originally, the human race would be completely reduced to the incense nourishment of the gods, and there would be no basis for turning over. Only by believing in the gods could they have a future. But since Long Fei's appearance, there have been changes. It was originally a chaos, and nothing changed. But since the appearance of Long Fei, there has been a change. In the chaos, clarity finally appeared. This is also the fundamental reason why he chose Long Fei. It seems that he is the one who can be admired so much by you. It's just that what do we have that can make him fall in love? Emperor Shenong asked. This is the key. Long Fei's strength is terrifying. It is the peak sequence in this world. How can they guarantee that Long Fei will cooperate with them? They don't have the confidence. Since he came, it proves that he has already been tempted. Fushi said. This is also within his deduction. He didn't know if the picture he saw would come true, but he could be sure that he had to stand in the united front with Long Fei, otherwise the human race would be in trouble. The two were slightly taken aback, but they didn't say much. At the same time, Long Fei and Nuwa also came outside Huayun Cave. Long Fei walked very slowly. The closer he got, the stronger the feeling in his heart became. I really want to escape. As if wanting to stay away from here. Where is the problem? Long Fei frowned. This feeling made Long Fei even more puzzled. Even when he returned to the ancient world, Long Fei never felt this way. I want to see what's going on. The stronger this feeling was, the more rebellious Long Fei felt in his heart, wanting to see what kind of power it was. Wait a minute, there is still a restriction here. Wait for me to make a move, call the elder brother to make a move. Nuwa said without knowing what Long Fei was thinking. No need, this kind of restriction is nothing to me, Long Fei said. Then, with a flick of the fingers. Boom. There was a roar. Afterwards, the restriction in the field directly collapsed and disappeared. Nuwa froze in place. Even though she knew that Long Fei was very strong, she was still shocked by his strength. Breaking the heavenly restriction with a snap of your fingers? You know, this was arranged by Taoist ancestor. After so many years, that is to say, Fushi has understood this power. He can tear a crack and let her in, but he can't break the restriction at all. But Long Fei was too terrifying. He broke the restriction with just his fingers. It's amazing. Nuwa was obsessed, and she didn't look like a saint of heaven. Her eyes were full of shock and admiration. Is this my man? He's so strong. Inexplicably, she felt a sense of happiness in her heart. What expression? Loki, this is a routine operation. Long Fei is very useful, being admired by his own woman, probably every man can't refuse, and he is the same, not to mention his woman is also a sage of heaven. If this is put in the novel, it will be a proper supreme empress. For a moment, Long Fei felt great pride in his heart. Very cool. Even the previous irritability was a little less. Let's go in and have a look. After speaking, Long Fei took the lead and started to go deeper. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.